That should be working. I don't know if that's definitely working, but I shall find out. Fix that. Move that there. But yeah, wasn't gonna do this. Was not planning to do this, but kind of had to do this after the comments that came out yesterday, because that is life currently. Give me a sec. I just want to see what he actually said, if that makes sense. Ilias says, "Hello, bro. FPL is going well for you. Is that sarcasm? I don't know. Is it going well? Last thing I checked, you were above me in the table. Corn on the cobby was above me. But yeah, I'll have to check that. I'll have to check how that's going. One king. Oh, that's good. That's a good username. Still waiting on this news. Need this manager gone. Oh, we will get into that. We will 100% get into that. You know the thing is, right? Here's my thoughts on this, and we'll go through all the comments properly. Tell me if I'm crazy about this. So, this manager, on a slot, right? I could have sworn he had maybe one more game, maybe two more games, maybe three more games max. Like the manager was under loads of pressure, and like Salah was under no pressure. So why would Salah do an interview where he basically slates the owners? Because that surely suddenly put Salah under pressure. Do you get what I'm saying? So if Salah just didn't say anything, Slot would have been gone in a few games. But by Salah saying something, now you've got a stubborn leadership. So you've got Richard Hughes who's stubborn, and you've got Michael Edwards who's stubborn. So by Salah saying something now, I think Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards are going to be like, oh no, we need to get rid of Salah now. We need to get rid of Salah now. And so it's like Salah's put himself in the firing line when he didn't need to do that, because Slot was going to go anyway. So why would you say something? You've put yourself in the firing line now, and now I think the management is going to want to get rid of Salah first instead of the manager. Surely that's what's going to happen, because the management are going to be like, yes, Slot is terrible. Yes, Slot is having a bad time. But if the management sacks Slot now, in a way that makes the management look weak. Because then people are going to say the management gave in to Salah. Salah runs Liverpool. Salah owns Liverpool. So Salah's kind of forcing their hand. I don't know why he'd do an interview, because his position in the team was not under any risk. But by doing the interview, he's now made himself the highest priority that the management team have to get rid of. Right? That's the way I see it. He's surely put himself in the firing line when he did not need to do that. Because let's think about it this way: what Salah wanted, one disagrees. Let me know how you disagree. It's just the way I see it. But like, think about it this way: if Salah didn't say anything, Slot would have been gone. Slot probably would have been, and I'm not saying anybody's wrong or right in this situation. I'm just looking at this objectively. If Salah didn't say anything, Slot would have been gone in about 2 games. So Salah would have gotten his wish. Salah would have gotten a new manager. Salah would have gotten a new coach, and Salah would probably be back in the team. But by Salah saying things, he has now created pressure on himself to the point where the ownership are going to think, damn, we need to get rid of Salah first because he's volatile and he keeps slating us in the press. That's the way I see it. I just think he's taken a unnecessary risk, and this is outside of whether he's good, whether he's bad, whether he's amazing, whether he's terrible. I just think he's taken a unnecessary risk here, which is weird. Because again, if he had just waited like 2 more weeks, he would have gotten his wish. So why are you doing an interview? That's what I don't understand. They wouldn't have sacked Slot. Do you reckon it's a case? Do you reckon it's a case whereby he has some sort of insider information where they have said we're going to keep the manager for the whole year? So do you feel like he was perhaps forced into doing this? Maybe. Do you reckon that's what it could be? And again, all of this is outside of the discussion about whether he's good, whether he's bad. I just don't understand the timing of it. Ryan says, Salah is my favourite player of all time, and what Slot has done is unacceptable. I will back Salah. Okay. Well, here's a question. What has Slot done? What? My Apple Watch is answering. But what has Slot done? Because I'm just trying to look at this objectively and not emotionally. From my perspective, Slot has just dropped him for 3 games. Like, Slot hasn't murdered his family or done something atrocious. Like, Slot has just dropped him for 3 games. Why is this like why is this getting blown up to be some sort of kind of mega betrayal? That's what I don't understand. Slot has just dropped him for 3 games. Slot hasn't done an interview saying Salah sucks. Slot hasn't done an interview saying get him out of my club. That's what Slot has just dropped him. Are we saying therefore? Are we saying a manager's not allowed to drop a player? That's all I'm asking. Are we saying a manager is not allowed to drop a player? Because think about it. And again, I'm not saying Salah's right, Slot's wrong. I'm not saying Slot's right, Salah's wrong. I'm just asking, is a manager not allowed to drop a player? Because think about it this way. When Salah was in the team, let's consider the last 6 games. When Salah was in the team, Liverpool lost against City, Liverpool lost against Forest, and Liverpool lost against PSV. When Salah was out of the team, Liverpool have beaten West Ham, drawn to Sunderland, drawn to Leeds. So are we saying that a manager isn't allowed to drop a player? Yeah, it feels like a proper overreaction to me, because all the this is all getting conflated, and like people are getting like very, very emotional, and people are taking sides, and like people are like going to war for different sides. But I'm like, hold on, look at the facts. Everyone calm down. Everyone put your handbags away. And that also applies to Salah. What has actually factually happened in this situation? Factually, what has happened, if you take emotion out of it, and if you take ego out of it, a player's been dropped for like 1 week. That's all that has happened here. As far as I see, and I don't understand why this is suddenly being kind of elevated to be such a huge deal. I think a manager should be able to kind of drop players. That's kind of what the manager's there for. It's I don't know. I find it a bit weird. And additionally, I don't think anybody. Yeah, Reluctant says, I'm surprised you're here. I kind of had to, because I was hearing like so much nonsense. And again, I'm not saying that I back the manager, I hate Salah. I'm saying let's just look at this factually. Factually, what has happened? A player's been dropped for 3 games. Is that a travesty? Has he burned his house down? Has he committed some sort of crime? He's dropped him for 3 games. So are we saying a player is not allowed to be dropped for 3 games? Because look at the facts. Before he was dropped, Liverpool lost to City. Liverpool lost to Nottingham Forest, who are rubbish, and Liverpool also lost to PSV. And then after he gets dropped, Liverpool go unbeaten. And again, I'm not necessarily saying it's the right decision to drop him, it's the wrong decision to drop him. I'm purely looking at this from a factual perspective. Grace says, nice hat, it suits you, thank you very much. I was worried this was too much green, but I'll take that as a positive. Reluctant says, what did Salah say? I just heard something about Salah speaking out. Let's have a look then. Let's have a look at the comments for anybody that doesn't know. Because again, I think looking at the facts is important. Blah, 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 blah. I don't think I am a problem, Salah told the media. So I don't know if you can see that. Salah says, I don't think I am a problem. My question to that would be, and again, this is going to sound so narcissistic, but why do you think the world revolves around you? Like if you get dropped, you're the problem. Like you're a good player, but you're not the center of the universe. It just kind of feels a bit kind of narcissistic. Like, if you drop me, I'm the problem. No, you're just kind of slightly out of form at the moment, and that's fine. That happens to every player. The flip side to this is, are we saying we can never drop a player if he's out of form? If that's the case, then you don't need a manager. This is the most important point here. I am not fighting for my position every day because I have earned it. What? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? AM says, why doesn't he drop Gakpo? That's a fair point, but two wrongs don't necessarily make a right. I think you should have dropped Salah and you should have dropped Gakpo. I think you potentially should have dropped both of them. But look at this. I am not fighting for my position every day because I have earned it. I am not bigger than the club. I am not bigger than anything, but I've earned it. What do you mean you've earned it? What do you mean you've earned it? And then he's saying, it is what it is. In football, you never know, but I don't accept this situation. I've done so much for this club. You have, but so has Graham Souness. So has Steven Gerrard. Are we saying Gerrard and Souness double pivot against Inter? The trouble with this kind of thing is, unfortunately, it romanticizes it to a certain degree. Because yes, you've done a lot in the past, and people should be grateful for that. But the downside is, in August, the points tally goes back to 0. In August, the goals tally goes back to 0. In August, the assists tally goes back to 0. And additionally, it's not like you were just dropped out of nowhere. You weren't just dropped out of nowhere. You've been given 15, 20 games. And you haven't really done much. So what do you expect? Are you insinuating because you have records you should automatically play every single game? I'm like, what? What are you on about? Reluctant says, I don't think Salah liked being blamed for the season when most players on the team starting should probably be benched. I think that's a fair point. But if you look at the other positions, he has rotated. Where he can rotate, he has rotated. Where he can rotate, he has rotated. Frimpong has played right back. Bradley has played right back. Szoboszlai's played right back. Left back, Robertson's played. Left back, Kerkez has played. Midfield, we've had all sort of rotations within there. Up front, Isak has played. Up front, Ekitike has played. I'd say the positions where he can rotate, he has rotated. I would say everyone's saying kind of Konate. The trouble with Konate is, who are you going to replace Konate with? You don't have an alternative. You don't have an alternative. There is no other defender to replace Konate. People are saying Gomez. Gomez is not fit, number one, and number two, Gomez is repeatedly taking injections just to make the team. Like Gomez is not fit. Now, if the argument is he's not fully fit. He's on injections. That's why he's in the team, out the team. Now, if the argument is, why did Liverpool leave the Mark Gahey deal to the very last day? That's very bad planning. And if they had planned that better, they'd have Mark Gahey and then they could drop Konate. Yes, that makes sense. But I think in the situation that they're in, unfortunately, I don't think. Even though I'd probably say Konate has been the worst player in the team, but unfortunately there isn't really an alternative. Daniel says Endo can play there, but he's like 5'6". Like I'd be even more uncomfortable with Endo in centre back, to be honest with you. Ryan says the front three we want is Salah, Isak, Ekitike. I'd love to see that as well. I would absolutely love to see that as well. Unfortunately, I suspect Salah might have played his last game, so I don't know if we'll ever see that. But that would have been my preference. Nero says, "Hey Salah." AM says it's clear Slot has favourites. Chiesa, for example, Slot loves Dutch players. I think that is evident. Yeah, I think he does have his favourites. My concern is more kind of why Salah thinks he's undroppable. It's just a bit narcissistic, like absolutely. And again, this is all quotes. Absolutely, it hurts me. What I have done, it hurts. But I'm sure everyone feels that way. But you've had 15 games, you've had 20 games, and let's cast our mind back. To even a few days ago, everybody was saying drop Salah. Everybody was saying drop Salah, play Chiesa. But now that Salah's come out and said something, now everyone wants to be his best friend again. It's just weird. People change their opinions based on whichever way the wind is blowing. Reluctant says if Liverpool stopped pursuing Isak and went for Gahey, you would be up there with City and Arsenal right now. I think the Mark Gahey point is a fair one. I think it's brainless to leave something so critical to the very last second. That's why you kind of don't do your homework last second. That's why you don't book a holiday last second. So I think the Mark Gahey point is a fair one. Who decided to get Isak and Ekitike? Was it Slot's choice? The way they do it at this club is they have like a transfer committee and they have a data team. Oh, give me a second. And they've got a data team, and it's a collective decision. They get together in a meeting, they put their heads together, and they collectively decide who to go to and who not to go for. So that's the way it's kind of done, to be honest with you. Gavin says Chiesa's been decent. No, yeah, I think Chiesa's been good. Whenever Chiesa gets a few minutes on the pitch, he's effective. He cleared the ball off the line the other day. He gets goals. He's aggressive, and he actually runs around, which is more than I can say for most people. I just find this extremely narcissistic. Like I am, and again, I am scoring more than anyone in this generation since I came to the Premier League. I don't think anybody has scored more. Can I give an example? You have scored more. You have scored more than everyone. That's why you were in the team. It's December. It's not like you got dropped on the 1st of September. It's December. You've had 3 months. Like the manager has persisted with you time and time again, to the extent where people were saying, is there a clause in his contract that he can't get dropped? I remember people were asking that. Like, the manager's given you kind of multiple chances, but I think it's fair for the manager to drop you if you're not playing well. And look at the facts. Again, look at the facts. Let's take the last 6 games and then we cut it in half, yeah? So you cut it in half. In the 3 that Salah played, Liverpool lost all 3 games. They lost to City. They lost at home to Forest, 3-0, who are rubbish, by the way. And they lost at home to PSV, 4-1. Those are in the 3 games that he played. But in the 3 that he didn't play, they beat West Ham away from home, and they drew against Sunderland, and they drew against Leeds. And also, in the Sunderland game, he came on at half-time at 45 minutes. It's not like he came on 85 minutes. You had a half. You had a full half there. You did nothing. May says, if it's about poor performance, get Konate and Van Dijk on that bench. The trouble is with that, there's no cover. There's no other centre backs. I think Konate has been the worst player this season. The trouble is, if Konate was to go out, there's very little cover, and if Konate and Van Dijk were to go out, there'd be almost no cover. So I think that's the difficulty, and a related difficulty to that is you would then have a completely makeshift back four if you think about it. Kerkez is new, Bradley is still fairly new, and 2 unexperienced centre backs in the middle. I would just feel sorry for Alisson, looking at what's ahead of him. Dan says, could you see Slot getting fired? I could. Yesterday I could. But today I do not. Today I don't see that anymore, because Salah has screwed it up. Salah has made himself the biggest villain. Like, if Salah had just shut his mouth, right? If he had just shut his mouth, kept his mouth closed, Slot would have had maybe 1 more game, maybe 2 more games, and then they would have fired him. But now, the hierarchy is going to be panicking that this Salah guy is slating us in the media. This Salah guy is a bad egg. So if you think Slot was a problem, by Salah doing the interview, he's made himself the biggest problem. So by making himself the biggest problem, he is now gonna extend how long Slot is here. He's made it worse. If he had just kept his mouth shut, Slot would have been sacked. Liverpool would have had a new manager, and the new manager would probably be starting him. But by saying this, he's made himself villain number 1 in the eyes of the Liverpool hierarchy, because he's put the Liverpool hierarchy in a difficult position. Because if the Liverpool hierarchy sack Slot now, it's gonna make them look weak. It's gonna make them look like they caved into Salah's demands, and they ain't gonna do that. That's not how these people operate. They're venture capitalists who own the club, and the head of football, Michael Edwards, is stereotypically stubborn. So they are not going to do that. So I could see Slot getting sacked yesterday, but now I'm not so sure. Like, he will get sacked eventually, but he's all he's done with this interview, I think, is bought Slot a bit of time, which is silly. It's like, dude, if you want to play, just keep your mouth shut. Because as long as you're on the bench, and as long as Liverpool continue to suck whilst you're on the bench, your stock just gets higher and higher and higher and higher, because people will say, why is Salah on the bench? He's amazing. So that would have increased the pressure on the manager. But by doing this, he's put himself in the firing line, to the point where management are going to think Salah's a bigger problem than Slot. We need to get rid of him first. Reluctant says, I don't think Salah is the same. Ekitike having more goals is evident. Sad to say, but it's a reality. Salah was one of the best servants in Liverpool history. If he's not getting goals, there needs to change. I agree. And ultimately as well, we need to look at the facts. Nobody has come out from Liverpool saying Salah sucks. Nobody has come out from Liverpool saying F Salah. Nobody has come out from Liverpool saying why did we waste 400 grand a week on this guy? We want to ship him to Saudi. All that's happened factually, if you look at the facts, he's been dropped for 3 games. And not even 3 games, because the second game he came on at 45 minutes. So he's been dropped for about 2.5 games. That's all that happened. And this is a massive overreaction, I think. Dan says Salah's been poor this season. He has been poor. He hasn't been scoring goals. He hasn't been assisting goals. He hasn't been defending. He hasn't been tracking back. He runs like this. Like whenever he runs as well, like his hands are like this. Like surely if you're in motion, your arms are running. But he runs like a T-Rex because he's not even running. And it's like you've had 20 games starting 90 minutes. I think it's okay for the manager to drop you. And he's going to go first now. Because I think Liverpool can't take the risk that Salah does this with the next manager. So it would not surprise me. It would not surprise me if he's gone in January, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Edwards and Hughes have to go. It's all their fault. What's all their fault? Again, tell me what's their fault. What is their fault? Because what is the it here? This is what I don't get. What is the it? The it we're referring to, and the it that is making us really angry. What is the it? The it is a guy got dropped for 3 games. That's it. Like you've been dropped for 3 games. Like if I don't know, if there was a secret conversation that was taped where Slot was saying, why did we waste 400 grand a week on that guy? He's useless. I'd understand this kind of reaction. But all that's happened is he's been dropped for 3 games. Are we saying we're not allowed to drop players who are out of form? Because that is completely asinine, and that is extremely concerning. I want players to be dropped if they're out of form, and I'm sure most people do. Mr. Default says United, Mo Salah to Man United. Here we go. Definitely should have signed Mbeumo. We wanted to, but we had to make the seats bigger in the changing room to fit his backside girth, and we just did not wish to make that financial transaction, I'm afraid. Finley says, I think he's overreacting, in my opinion. I agree with you. I agree with you 1,000%. He's been poor, and he cannot handle being dropped, immature, in my opinion. I agree with you 1,000%. A lot of people are conflating the issue. A lot of people are blowing this issue up to be something massive. But it's only a massive thing because Salah has made it massive because he acted immature. In reality, the facts of the situation are you've been dropped for 3 games. Additionally, let's double the 3 games to 6. To 6 games, right? 6 games ago, Liverpool lost to City, Salah played 90 minutes. Liverpool lost to Nottingham Forest, Salah played 90 minutes. Liverpool lost to PSV, and not just lost, got battered in all these games, by the way. Got battered at all these games, by the way. When Salah was playing, Liverpool were getting battered. After Salah got dropped, Liverpool won a game and are unbeaten. That should not like diminish his past achievements. Like this guy has been a legend for the past 10 years. He deserves a statue. He deserves all the accolades. He deserves to come back for the Legends game. But it also should not automatically, like this is the bit here that really irritates me. I am not fighting for my position every day because I have earned it. What the F are you talking about? What the F are you talking about? I am not fighting for my position. Of course you're fighting for your position. Everybody's fighting for their position. Because I've earned it. So because you've been good in previous years, you should automatically get a place we should just never drop you. You can continue to drop a stinker. You can continue to be terrible in every single game and we should never drop you because you were good in previous years. What? This is nonsense. This is nonsense. And I can't believe people back this. Here's the thing. People always say, no player is bigger than the club is bigger than every player. People get an erection saying, ooh, no player is bigger than the club is bigger than every single player. And people get like a proper erection saying that. But when it comes time to actually practice that, when it comes time to not talk the talk, to not walk the walk, they always cave. And it's like, why do you say that? Because it's really easy to say nobody's bigger than the club when things are going well. Because you don't have to exercise that when things are going well, because nobody cares. You only have to exercise that clause when things are going badly. So then when things are going badly, suddenly they don't say that anymore. It's bizarre. It's insanity. It's truly insanity. Reluctant says Chiesa has to start. I rate him highly. I wish Newcastle had him. We would be top 4 easily. I agree. And again, we also have to remember, a lot of people last week were saying, drop Salah, play Chiesa. And I think that's a fair opinion to have. But now that this guy has come out crying, now they're like, oh, poor baby, that's okay, we love you. Now they've changed their opinion. I just find that completely bizarre. As Mac Belfast said, Fergie sacked Roy Keane. No one's bigger than the club. I agree with you 100%. Mr. Default says you're only good as your last match. I agree with you 100%. What I find kind of really interesting about this, it's a lot of fans of the other teams who seem to understand. I mean, fair play, but you know what I mean. Like Mr. Default supports Man United. I think Mac Belfast potentially also supports Man United. Finley supports Newcastle. Reluctant Gamer supports Newcastle. Reluctant says all players have to fight for their position. Doesn't matter if you're Ronaldo or Messi. You got to fight for that in the starting lineup. I agree 1,000%. And we also have to remember, it's not as if first game of the season he just got rid of him and said, goodbye Mo, we don't want you anymore. He was given 3 months. He was given 3 months to show a bit of form. And I don't think he has. I don't think he has. Alicia says Slot has lost the dressing room. I think I agree with you. I agree he's lost the dressing room. And I don't think the players are playing for him. Unfortunately, I think two things can be true at the same time. So I think Slot has 100% lost the dressing room. But Salah can also be pants. And what irritates me is if Salah had kept his mouth shut, Slot would be sacked around Christmas time. We know that. If Salah had kept his mouth shut, Slot would have been sacked. But by Salah opening his mouth, he has now made himself villain number one in the eyes of the club hierarchy. So the club are going to want to get rid of Salah first. And by extension, if you want to get rid of Salah first, that then extends the amount of time that Slot is here. So he's just ended up keeping Slot here for longer. Salah has now made himself the number one priority in terms of who they have to who they have to get rid of. Leo says, "Is this pre-recorded?" It is not. MFU says, what did he say? Lots of things, to be honest with you. This bit in particular is irritating me, where he said, I am not... He did a interview with the media after yesterday's game. He did a long ass interview, which he always does, by the way. When he wants something. When he wants a new contract, he'll turn up. If there's free food, he'll turn up. If he can get something out of it, he'll turn up. But If Liverpool get battered by Man City, he ain't turning up. If Liverpool get battered by Nottingham Forest, he ain't turning up. If Liverpool get battered by PSV, he ain't turning up. He always turns up kind of when he wants something. I'm not fighting for my position every day because I've earned it. I think everybody should fight for their position. You don't automatically get a place in the team. Mr. Default says, I didn't expect this from Mo. I agree. I agree with you. And especially given the timing, it just feels completely selfish, number one. And number two, I think you're right. I think you're right there. He's starting to think he's bigger than the club. But the second reason why I don't like this is he's turning Liverpool fans against each other for his own benefit. He did this previously with the contract, and I could understand. But whenever a situation arises where he can turn people against each other for his own benefit, he'll do it. And I think that's pretty selfish. Amy says everyone should have to fight for their position no matter how long they've been there before. I agree 1,000%. Nobody should get in the team based on merit. We have to also remember Liverpool have played about 20 games this season, and he has started, other than these three games, he has started every single game. So it is not a case of him just being dropped instantly. He has had multiple chances to perform. He's done very little as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, disappointing would be the best way. Would be the best way to phrase it. How you doing, Pixel? I missed that. I think Salah misses players like Nunes and Diaz a lot. It could be. Yeah, it could be. It could certainly be a case of that. I was gonna say he might be joining Nunes in Saudi soon, but I think Nunes is off to River Plate or something. But yeah, these comments just irritate me greatly. Biri1 says, "Hey, yeah, bad timing. Could have waited. Something has most definitely gone on behind the scenes, and I would love it if they kept it behind the scenes. For me, this isn't a club which has traditionally aired its laundry in public, and I can understand if it maybe happens once because it's a variable at the end of the day, but with Salah, it always seems to be public, and it always seems to be something that can benefit him, whether it's his contract, whether it's I'm more out than in, whether was it 2 years ago he said something along the lines of, if I speak, there will be fire. Do you remember that? Something along those lines. And now this. It's like, stop repeatedly manipulating the fans for your own gain. Like you are a legendary player, but equally you can be out of form, which you are out of form. So it's justifiable that you were dropped. Again, let's look at the facts. Everybody is overreacting like a comet has hit the earth. But all that's happened is he's been dropped for 3 games. Liverpool lost against City. Liverpool lost against Nottingham Forest. Liverpool lost against PSV and didn't just lose those games, got absolutely humiliated and got absolutely battered in those games. And then they drop him and they go unbeaten. I was extremely disappointed. Extremely disappointed with this, to be honest with you. Salah moving like Nacho. My favourite player, Big Dom, literally said, what stays in the dressing room stays there before the game. I think that's the difference between having captain's mentality. I think to be a captain, you have to look at things holistically and consider the impact on absolutely everyone. And I think that's the difference between captain mentality and narcissistic mentality. This perhaps also reveals why Salah's never been given the captaincy. It's all starting to make sense now. Sean says never been benched 3 games in a row. Yes, I believe it's the first time that this has happened. But look again, let's look at this factually. Liverpool got humiliated by City, where he played 90 minutes. Liverpool got humiliated by Nottingham Forest, who are rubbish, by the way, given that, I mean, even if Everton beat you, you're rubbish. Liverpool got humiliated by Nottingham Forest and got humiliated by PSV. They drop him, and then they go unbeaten. Alim says Salah been treated poorly by Liverpool here. In what sense? Because all that's happened here is he's been dropped. That to me is not poor treatment. He's been dropped because he was playing terribly. That's not poor treatment. Are we saying that we should never drop a player, regardless of if he's playing poorly or not? That's what I don't understand. Thanks, Mr. Default. That makes me feel... I'd forgotten about that header at the back post, but you have reignited the trauma in my head. I can't believe people are agreeing with Salah. Yeah, it's... Again, we need to look at the facts. Facts are for me. He's only been dropped for 3 games. Sean says, treated bad, broke records, top goal scorer. How can you drop him? Shambles? Is it a shambles? Because he's been given 20 games. He's been given 20 games and he's done absolutely nothing. A alternate way of looking at this could be he was playing really, really well to get a contract, and as soon as he got the contract, he stopped bothering. That could be an alternate way of looking at the same data. And again, we need to look at the facts. He's been given 20 games. He did absolutely nothing. I think it's fair to drop a player. I think it's fair to drop a player if the player is out of form. I don't think that's bad treatment. I don't think that's a disgrace. I think that's the job of the manager. I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to do. And to be honest, what they will probably do now, I reckon they'll get rid of both Slot and Salah, but I think they'll get rid of Salah first. Dada says, why not drop other players? They're not playing well either. Look at Van Dijk, Kanate. People keep saying this, but who are we going to drop them for? There are no other defenders. There are no other defenders to drop them for. Who are we going to drop them for? Leone's out for the season and Joe Gomez has to take injections every week just to ensure that he can walk. There is absolutely nobody we can drop them for. There's no cover at centre-back. There's absolutely no cover at centre-back. Whereas in the forward line, there are an abundance of options. I agree Kanate has been the worst player. But we can't just drop somebody and then wash our hands of it. If you drop somebody, you have to put somebody else in. Who would go in? Reluctant says, Liverpool have been doing poor with Salah, but Liverpool are still poor yesterday. Showed it after 2-0 up. Liverpool should be killing the game. The defense is killing the whole squad through the game. I agree. I think the defense is a big problem. The trouble that they have is there's no cover. there's nobody else. If you look at Giovanni Leone, so he was brought in as the defensive cover for this season, and unfortunately in his first game, so he played a game and then he got a season-ending injury. So if the argument is Liverpool should have gotten Mark Gahey in earlier, then I understand. Yes, they 100% should have. It was very lazy and it was very bad planning to leave the Mark Gahey deal to the very last day. It's like doing your homework at the last second. But unfortunately, I think the situation that they're in, they can't drop Kanate, even though he's rubbish. Like Gomez can barely walk. Endo's about 5'6". I don't know if there's another option. Yeah, club comes first, 100%. Agree with the Beery one. I agree Salah should be dropped, but I don't agree with a lot of stuff like rotating Isak and Ekatike disturbs the attack majorly. Ever since Isak arrived, Liverpool have not been good also. I think there's a variety of things going on at the moment, and I think it's a cocktail of things where if you mix it and add a bit of vodka on top, it gives the situation. That's probably the beery one's gone into my head. But it's a cocktail of things. I agree there's no consistency in the front line, and it's very annoying. Isak plays one game, he's dropped the next game. Ekatike plays one game, he's dropped the next game. So I think I do think it's a combination of things. But it's just the notion that certain players are undroppable, which is what I disagree with. Nayab says, why is Liverpool manager benching Salah? It reminds me of Ronaldo. To be honest, he hasn't been great this season, and that's fine. That's okay. He's been great in previous years. But unfortunately for us, in August, unfortunately, this is going to sound really blunt, but in August, previous years don't matter anymore because the tally goes back to zero. Arsenal go to the top of the league because they're alphabetically first. That's how you know it doesn't matter because Arsenal are first. But unfortunately, I think you can only use the current season as your barometer, not whatever happened in previous seasons. Endo can play centre back. He can play centre back, as Amy says. The only concern would be he's very short. Ekatike was banging games. Banging goals, sorry. And winning games. I agree. Bring back Matip. That might be a good solution. Sean says drop him, play 3 at the back. The problem is that. So are you saying drop Kanate and play 3 at the back? Who would be your 3 at the back in this situation? Amy says, what about some of our youngsters? Anybody better than Kanate currently? At centre-back, to be honest with you, I don't know if there's much capability and much strength at centre-back. In midfield, they're okay. They've got Trey Nioni. Up front, they've got Rio and Gamoa. Centre-back, unfortunately, from a defensive perspective, the one that they had, they shipped him off to Leverkusen, which is unfortunate, should we say. But that's life sometimes. I agree with that. Maybe we need to play Isak, Ekatike together, see how they go with Wirtz and Sabo. That would at least be forward thinking. But this is the thing. I think Amy's point is a good one. We should be exploring new systems. We should feel, and I say we, in terms of Liverpool, they should feel like they have the ability to experiment with new formations and new systems and new forward lines. But like Amy's suggestion is perfectly innocent, but I feel like if Liverpool were to do that, Salah would do another interview crying like, oh my god, I've done all this in the past few years, and like if Amy was the manager, Salah would be saying, oh my god, Amy doesn't like me because she's playing Isak and Ekatike and Wirtz and Sabo. I'm like, the manager should have that capability to experiment with things. It is narcissism to the extent of which I have never seen in my life. Yeah, nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with a bit of variety. Ben's correct as well. It's funny how 1 month ago everyone was saying to sell him. It's funny how 1 month ago everybody was saying get him out of my club. It's funny how 1 month ago everyone was saying drop him, play Chiesa. It's funny how 1 month ago everybody was saying, is there a clause in his contract that says that he can't be dropped? Because why does he keep playing? Because he's rubbish at the moment. It's funny, 1 month ago everybody was saying that, but then suddenly he puts an interview out and people completely change their opinions based on what they've been saying for the past month. It's crazy. It's wild. I'd understand it more if people had an opinion and they stuck to it, but it's the fact that people change their opinions based on whichever way the wind is blowing. It's like Mane, Firmino, Salah started every game. Firmino was in and out, especially as Jota was getting into the team. But you need to do that. You need to freshen up the squad. It's just this notion that certain players are undroppable, which is what I do not understand. If Salah was not Salah, If Salah was not Salah, he would not have been given 20 games to prove himself. He's been given 20 games to prove himself this year, and it's just not working. I don't know what the reason is. It's just not working. I think a manager should be allowed to drop you for a couple of games. Leighton says Salah will be gone in January or the summer, and Isak should get nowhere near Ekitike's spot. I do think Salah will be gone. I don't see how he comes back from this. With respect to Ekitike and Isak, I want them both to be integrated. I want them to find a way in which both are integrated into the team. However that looks. Is that Ekitike on the left? Is that Isak up top? I want to see them. I want to see them both in the team. Mo Skelt from Serbia is here. What did I miss? We were just discussing the Salah comments, and again, there's loads of them, but this bit in particular irritated me to my core, and you can tell it's irritated me. Have I ever seemed this annoyed? If Liverpool concede a goal, I start laughing, and I talk about Chinese food instead. But this kind of stuff irritates me because I'm not fighting for my position every day. I've earned it. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. He's an expert in using the media to turn Liverpool fans against other Liverpool fans. That's what he does every single time. And it irritates me to my core. I agree with Fee 100%. What game you playing at the moment? The game to keep my blood pressure down. But that Tormented Souls 2, that horror game, playing that on PC. When Salah dropped his Liverpool social media links last month, knew he was going. That's a fair point. I forgot about that. But you might have. I think you definitely have a good point there. What annoys me is the notion that he feels like he cannot be dropped. That's what irritates me. And here's the thing as well. Here's another thing. And let me make another thing clear. Just because I'm annoyed at Salah, that doesn't mean I suddenly love Slot. Not everything is like black and white. Not everything is a 0 and 1. I'm annoyed at both of them. And to be honest, I want to see them both gone. Most Galt, I'm not a Liverpool supporter or fan, but I think y'all should just get rid of Salah. He didn't do anything for you guys this season. I agree. I wouldn't want to get rid of him. I wouldn't want to get rid of. I agree he's been poor this season, but I still think there's value in the player. But after this, he has unfortunately created a situation whereby imagine turning up to training the next day after you've said that. Imagine you say that about your boss and it's on the news, and then you've got to go into work, I don't know, at Tesco or at the office the next day. It's gonna be a bit of a weird situation. I can't lie. It's going from bad to worse for us. I agree. I 100% agree. Here's another thing. Which I don't think has been 100% considered. So Salah has a tendency to use the media, I think, to turn the fans against the club. He's done that before with his contract, and that has worked in the imagine Salah in McDonald's. That would be kind of funny. The trouble he's got, he doesn't hold any cards anymore. He could do this last year. Because the threat was, if you don't give me my money, I'm going to go for a free. So he always had leverage, but now he doesn't have any leverage because you're contracted. So you don't have any leverage. So that weakens his bargaining position as well. I'm not sure if he realizes that. Fish is here, which is fantastic. Milan says, think you started watching football in 2026. Well, think about that really hard. It doesn't make sense, does it? Salah back to Roma. Here we go. Salah might as well just leave. The disrespect he gets from the fan base is insane. Go get money and good luck in the Saudi league. Go make money. When you say disrespect, specifically, what aspects are you referring to? Is it when people say get rid of him, he's terrible, get him out the team? I don't think he's done himself any favors with this interview that he's done. I just find it so perplexing, and the timing in many ways could not be worse. The timing could not be worse. Because again, think about it. Cast your mind back. Cast your mind back to yesterday morning. Okay? Yesterday morning, everyone was saying Slot has got one more game, Slot has got two more games, Slot has got three more games. Everybody was saying yesterday Slot is pretty much done for. So if Salah wants Slot gone, he didn't need to do anything. Just keep your mouth shut. And Slot will be gone, and you will get a new manager in who will play you. Why did you open? But by you opening your mouth, you have put yourself in a risky position, because now the ownership are going to think this guy is slating us in the media. This guy is volatile. Therefore, we as the owners, we need to get rid of Salah first, and we need to keep Slot a bit longer. That's what I'm worried about, because Slot was on his way out. Slot was like the highest priority thing. So Arne Slot, the manager, was the highest priority thing that the owners had to sort out. But by Salah doing this, Salah has put himself in the number one position of the highest priority thing that they need to resolve. I think he screwed himself over. I honestly think he's just screwed himself over. Sometimes narcissism can cloud the brain. Amy says he hasn't done anything for us this season, to be honest, whereas Chiesa has. Salah has definitely been given a lot of chances this season. We've had about 20 games, I think, and he has started the overwhelming majority of those games. Which makes the complaints all the more silly. Because it's not like you haven't been given a chance. And again, we need to look at the facts. All that has happened is you've been dropped for 3 games. Liverpool didn't terminate your contract. Liverpool didn't put you up for sale. Liverpool were not secretly recorded saying, why did we give this guy 400 grand a week? He's a rubbish. Liverpool, that's all that's happened. Liverpool have just benched you for 3 games. And when they bench you for 3 games, suddenly they've gone unbeaten. That's all that's happened here. But people are blowing this up to be something absolutely massive, which is not. But he's turned it into something massive. Wayne says it's the loss of Jota as well. I think he took it really bad, his death. That's just one reason. Slot is the wrong manager for the club. I think both of those things are true. Moscal says, I have a question. Are you live every day or every week? It's generally whenever Liverpool play, because I'm a bit busy at the moment. But this annoyed me so much I had to just do a random stream. Amy says, I think Slot got till Christmas, to be honest. I agree with you, but I think now Slot is going to get longer. I think because you almost can't get rid of Slot and Salah in the same month. I think if Salah had kept his mouth shut, Slot would have until Christmas. But now the ownership are having emergency meetings to get rid of Salah, which means they're going to have to get rid of Salah before they get rid of Slot. Because if they get rid of Slot first, everyone's going to say, look at how weak Liverpool are. Look at how weak Liverpool's ownership are. Liverpool gave in to player power. Liverpool are a weak club. Michael Edwards is weak. They're not going to do that. They're not going to let that happen. So they're going to have to get rid of Salah first now, which ultimately means Slot is going to be here for longer. So it makes it worse. It makes it worse for everyone. Yeah, imagine just having to turn back up at work after that. Jeffrey says, hi. The Beery one is correct. This might even help Slot, in fact, right? No player should have that much power. Shankly would hate it. I agree. This is going to keep Slot here for longer. Because this, to be honest, clubs 99.99% of the time do not care what fans think. Like, I know we think we're important. Club do not give an F what I think. Club do not give an F what anyone thinks. But the club is now going to have sympathy for Slot because the club is going to be like, oh my God, you got to deal with this. Because if you think about it, Salah, in his comments, he kept saying Liverpool. He very rarely said Slot. So when you're saying Liverpool, you're targeting those comments at the ownership. Which means the ownership are going to take sympathy with Slot and are going to want to get you out. Which means we're stuck with the bold guy for longer. Zaim says Salah has an ego, which is why he went public. I agree with you 100%. Play Chiesa more. I agree. What does Chiesa actually do to have start? I think he might have nude pictures of Arne Slot. He needs to potentially shred those, and then he might have a way back into the team. Snow says, I think they were always going to sell him in January. Don't matter what he would have done. I to be fair with you, I always thought they were going to sell him in the summer. Because Liverpool typically are not a club who sells players in January unless their hand is forced. For example, their hand was forced with Coutinho. They sold Coutinho in January. Their hand was forced with Luis Suarez. They sold Luis Suarez in January. But when Liverpool's hand is not forced, they do not sell in January. For example, they sold Darwin Núñez in the summer. For example, they sold Luis Diaz in the summer. I think Liverpool only sell in January if their hand is forced. And unfortunately, I believe he's forced their hand now. He's not mentally or physically fit. He's not like that to come out with an outburst because he's a very humble player. I think he's humble and narcissistic at the same time. I think. Fish says live tomorrow, Wolves United. I don't think so, unfortunately. I would love to, but I'm going to be busy tomorrow. Beery One says, would anyone take Klopp back if Slot goes? Would he want to come back as interim? The romantic in me would love to have him back, and the curious aspect of my brain would love to have him back, but the mental analytical side of my brain, is that the right side or the left side? To be honest, probably no side. But the analytical side of me says he left for a reason, and I want a long-term solution. I wouldn't want Klopp going back to his ex-girlfriend, which is Liverpool FC. I wouldn't want him going back to his ex-girlfriend just to leave again after a year, because then I feel like we are simply moving the problem. Oh, for God's sake, give me a second. Give me a second. Just fixing something. Technical difficulties. But as I'm sorting that, he was mentally fit when his contract was up in the air, or when he had an outburst on the sideline against Klopp. That is the thing. I think that's the important point. Whenever he needs something, whenever the situation will benefit him, he'll be there. Whenever he can get something out of the situation, he will be there. Whenever he has something to gain, he will be there. But you know when he's not there when Liverpool get battered by Man City. He's not there when Liverpool get battered by Nottingham Forest. He is not there when Liverpool get battered by PSV. I don't see him doing any sort of interview when things are going badly. That's what That's what annoys me. I'm just sorting something out. Wayne says, I would keep Salah over Slot, no question about it. Give me a sec. To be honest, at this point, I want to see both of them. I want to see both of them go. I would like to see both of them go, to be honest with you. Give me a sec. We also had to remember what has happened. What has happened? People are phrasing this as a betrayal of sorts, but what has ultimately happened? Ultimately, all that has happened is Slot has dropped him for 3 games. Okay, I'm fixed. I just had to fix something. One of the streams crashed because it said I was inactive, and I'm like, guys, I'm clearly not inactive. But I think I've sorted that now. But yeah, that should help me. That should help me make my way down. Mo Skel says, I think because of this thing with Salah, they're going to take a longer time and Slot will just manage. Yes. That is exactly what I've been saying. I think because of this thing with Salah, they're just going to take a longer time and Slot will manage 2-3 more months till the end of the season until they fix the Salah monstrosity. That is exactly what I'm saying. By Salah doing this, he has made himself the bigger problem when he didn't need to. Like Salah's position was not at risk. You didn't need to put yourself in the firing line. And it's annoying that he has now put himself in the firing line when he did not need to do that. Which unfortunately means that Slot is gonna be here for a lot longer. Zaim says, I wouldn't keep both, unfortunately. Not the send-off I wanted, Salah, but we need to move on from him tactically always. Anyways, I agree. I agree. Liverpool need to transition to a younger squad. Salah was not going to be here forever. It was important. It was important that Liverpool transitioned towards a younger squad, and it was important that the manager felt empowered to do that. I don't think the manager's done anything wrong. Let me caveat that. I don't think the manager has done anything wrong with respect to the Salah situation. All he has done is he has dropped him for a few games. I don't think that's all that bad. Jeffrey says, my take is if Salah wants to leave, good for him because he don't make the team anymore. I agree. And I'm just really disappointed that he has thrown this strop. Like extremely disappointed. Fish says, hello. Biriwan would take 80 million in Jan. I'd take that as well, to be honest with you. There might be other players not pleased with Slot and they won't come out and say anything. True. It's possible, but they're all grown men. So I would argue if they feel that strongly about it, they should do something about it. And it don't matter if we sell Salah. Chiesa will not start. We'll play Gakpo on the left, Verts mid, and Sabo right. Stop thinking Chiesa will get any play time just because Salah will leave. That is true. My thing is more, managers need to be given the authority and the ability to experiment if things are not going so well. Last year things were going perfectly and Salah played every single game. The flip side is, we just never drop Salah because he's a record scorer and we allow him to continue to put in a 1 out of 10 performance every game. We allow him to continue not to score. We allow him to continue not to assist. We allow him to continue to... Salah was getting done by Nico Williams. And the Welsh Nico Williams, not the Spanish one. If that's an indicator you need to drop a player. But yeah, we won't get club for interim. People are saying Heitinger, but hasn't Heitinger flopped? Did he go Ajax or something and he flopped there? Like for me, if you can't manage Ajax, you definitely can't manage Liverpool. Stevie G would be a disaster. If you can't manage Villa and you can't manage Al Ettifaq, you can't manage Liverpool. And Stevie G is... This is going to sound really weird, but Gerrard as a manager is a worse form of Slot. Gerrard's a poor communicator. Slot's a poor communicator. I think they both have that authoritarian streak in them. If Slot doesn't work, then Gerrard definitely won't work. Gerrard will pee everyone off within a week as well. Yeah, we do not want the Brendan Rodgers years back. If I'm honest with you. Dune says is that Galatasaray fans want Salah? He's old enough. Is what's his name? Is Osman still there? They might form a nice partnership. BD1 says, how much do we talk about Hughes Edwards buying the players they did? Isak money could have gone to 3 other players. It could have. I think that's a more difficult conversation. I think the tricky thing with Isak is he was a world-class player, and what you could say top 3 strikers in the world, and I think it's a difficult situation because if you have a top 3 player who wants to join you, I think you have to go for it. My concern with that is not so much getting Isak, it's more they don't seem to give him a chance. He plays 60 minutes, he's in the team, and then he's out the team the next game. So to be fair, I'd probably put the management of that more on Slot. The dressing room seems fractured. Van Dijk bit back on Rooney. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, a bit back on Rooney questioning his leadership skills, but looks like he was right. Yeah, he certainly could have been. Certainly could have been. I do think the dressing room is fractured. I do think motivation is low. And I think the manager certainly plays a big part of that. The manager is not just managing the players; he's managing the situation. He's managing the ethos. He's managing the motivation. So I think you can criticize the manager for that 100%. Adebanyo says, "Let me tell you what all Liverpool fans don't know. They won't sack Slot. Not until the summer, and it's possible that by January, when he signs players again, all will be good and they forget about sacking." I do think by Salah doing this interview, Salah has made himself public enemy number 1 in the eyes of the management. In the eyes of the management structure, Salah is now public enemy number 1. So I think the management are going to want to get rid of Salah first, and then possibly Slot later. It is just a risk that he did not need to take. Jeffrey says both Salah and Slot should leave after Christmas. Yeah, generally speaking, I think at this point I want them both gone. It's just got to that point. I just feel like certain people are in the Salah camp, certain people are in the Slot camp. I think they've both done things that are wrong. I think they've both miscalculated certain things, and to be honest, I'd want them both gone at this point. Stevie won't be here for years. He'll simply get respect from players, and they'll play for him till Jabi is out of Real Madrid. To be honest, I disagree. Like, Stevie is a big legend to the fans, but the players won't really give that much of an F. If you think about it, because Gerrard's just another one of them. They talk to. They've probably got Gerrard's phone number. They've probably got Gerrard on WhatsApp. So to the fans, we'd see Gerrard as this kind of almost idol-like, deity-like figure. But I think to fellow professionals, he's just another guy. They've probably got him on WhatsApp. They're probably in his Instagram DMs. I just think Gerrard would do more damage. Would do even more damage to this situation. Maybe it'd be nice for a week, but I'm just concerned. A guy who failed at Villa and failed at Al Ettifaq, I don't want him in a management position. Moscalt says Salah's like 36-year-old or something like that, and he's playing at a top club, Liverpool, making problems, excuses, expect for what he's been doing for the last 6-7 years. I appreciate what he's done. For the last 8 years, but that doesn't excuse his poor performances this year. Think about it this way. This is going to be a really bad example, but say you ordered a pizza last year and you paid money for it, That transaction is over. You ordered a pizza from Pizza Hut last year. You ate it. It was nice. Transaction over. That's how I see it. But I'm not going to continue to pay Pizza Hut this year for a pizza that I had last year. I've already eaten that pizza. If you want more money, give me another pizza. The pizza's been consumed. And I think it's a similar sort of thing. Or at the very least, that's how I see it. I think the club's in a lot of trouble. Klopp rebuilt the club after Brendan Rodgers. They're in a bad state. I don't think it's the end of the world, but Salah's made it worse. I think Salah's made it worse. I think our dressing room needs a more personal manager than... Yes. 100%. We need more of a verbal communicator. Slot's weakness is his man management, and Gerrard is even worse at man management than Slot. So you'd get a worse version of Slot who's not as tactically astute. It'd be worse. It would surely be worse. We need someone who's more of an orator, like a Klopp. Someone more of that ilk. Gerrard would just be a worse version of Slot. Once the novelty wears away. Beery1 says, yes, agree, I'm ecstatic we signed him. Imagine getting him and Wirtz. Yeah, it's one of those things that you could have never imagined. before they signed, you'd be happy to get one of those at most. So I do agree. It's perhaps a... Oh, 1 second. It's a weakness of the manager that he hasn't integrated them. Mo Scout says, if Klopp would come back to manage, he would loan the likes of Wirtz. He wouldn't. And maybe Isak, he'd fix a lot of things, but he'd probably retire 2 years later or even before. My concern with Klopp is he left for a reason, number one. And number two, let's be honest, Michael Edwards and Klopp don't get on, so it's not going to happen. And number three, he would not be in it for the long term. I would want a long term solution. Isak has just 3 touches in the whole game. That is a management weakness, and I think that is a tactical weakness of the manager. He has not managed to get the best out of Isak. Beerwan says, love that 90s green kit you're wearing. Thank you, 92. It's actually the current training kit. The current training kit. But it does have a bit of a retro vibe to it, to be fair. The hate for Salah is insane. Who's hating Salah? Is anybody hating Salah? Who's hating Salah? That's my question. Just because you disagree with something, does that mean you hate it? Why do we have to deal in absolutes? You can criticize something and you can still have appreciation for what they've done. Why does everything have to be in black and white? This is purely insanity. If you think somebody disagreeing with you is hating you, like, you're not gonna get far in the world, because you will encounter multiple people disagreeing with you. You need to change that mindset, and it's not just a football thing. Same says, would you have taken Gerrard when he went invincible with Rangers? Slot had similar honours at Eredivisie, which is the Dutch league. I would not. For me, I would have, if he had done good at Villa, then I would have taken him. I just feel Rangers to Liverpool was far too big a jump. Whereas if he had gone Rangers, then feels a bit harsh to say mid-table, because Villa are better than mid-table. But to be fair, Villa are a big club with a big history, European champions, big fan base. So if Gerrard had done well at Villa, that would have convinced me that, okay, he can also do well at Liverpool. But the fact that Villa got rid of him is a bad sign. And point number two, they got Emery in, who is working with very similar players and is getting a much better tune out of the players. Slot's not shown any good tactics. Yeah, it's awful football. It's horrendous football. I can't lie. It does make us look absolutely terrible. It's the Kirkes cutting inside. It's the Kirkes cutting inside that I absolutely despise. Also, why would you want MLS manager at Liverpool? I want somebody qualified. I just want the right person who's qualified to do the job. And to me, Gerrard is not qualified in the slightest. How much more evidence do you need? This guy fails at every club that he goes to. It'd be nice for a week, and you'd feel really good for a week. But after that, the reality hits you that you're stuck with Gerrard. It's like having an arranged marriage. You'll feel really good for a day. Oh yeah, I get a party, I get nice food. But then a week later, you're like, oh shit, I'm stuck with this person and I know nothing about them. I'm stuck with this person for the rest of my life. Like, no, absolutely not Gerrard. Yeah, his football is terrible. His football is terrible. Ronaldo 71, Jesus, 41. But Salah plays as a right wing. His position is not easy to play. It is a difficult position to play. But equally, again, we have to bring this back to the facts of the situation. The facts of the situation are he's been given 20 games this season. He hasn't done much, and that's okay. Nobody was blaming you. Nobody was... Or at least I would hope nobody is saying, you suck, Salah, we need to get rid of you. Why did we waste money on you? I would like to think most rational people are not saying that. But I think it's a perfectly rational thing to say, he's not performing well, let's just change things up for a few games. If we're not even allowed to do that, then I'm extremely concerned. Jeffrey says, Gerrard's not a Liverpool manager. I agree 1,000%. He has not shown the required capability to manage Liverpool, even on an interim basis. Wayne would bring Liverpool back to tidy things up. He works well with all the players. I think he's the one to turn things around, and the fans would be definitely up for it. I would be curious to see it, and I would be excited to see that. Like the romantic side of my brain kind of wants to see it, but the other side of my brain is saying, if he's going to leave after a year, if he's going to leave after 2 years, we are not solving a problem. We are merely moving a problem to a different day. Snow says, Slot's stubbornness really effed us over. If he just got over it and played like we did last year, there'd be zero problems this year. The manager does have a lot to answer for. Chief of all, I feel like he has not integrated the new players. And let's be honest, the new players are not rubbish players. You've been given very expensive players who are very good. So if you fail to integrate those, that makes me concerned about his tactical capability. So I think Slot needs to go. But unfortunately, with Salah doing this, the ownership are now going to say, Salah's a bigger problem. Salah's volatile. Salah's a troublemaker. Get rid of Salah first and get rid of Slot later. So all Salah has achieved is he's kept Slot in a job for longer. It's brainless. 100%, as Archie says, throwing his toys out the pram. He's trying to make it about himself. Yeah. A lot of the comments were like, like this. What I have done, it hurts. What I have done, it hurts. You got dropped for 3 games. The world doesn't revolve around you. What I have done, it hurts. What? You're not the center of the universe. Jesus Christ. It's narcissism to the extent of which I've never seen. You like it's Liverpool FC, not Salah FC. Adebanyo says, I think Slot's problem was from the backroom staff. They're the one giving tactics and motivation to the players. Heitinger leaves, has now been sacked by Ajax. Maybe he should come back. You might be onto something. Heitinger Heitinger played a big role in Liverpool's success last year. And if you change Heitinger, when they changed Heitinger, things are not going as well. So you could definitely be onto something. Unfortunately, I think it's probably too late for the manager now. But who knows what would have happened if Heitinger had stayed around. But I do think you're correct. Zaim says Feyenoord to Liverpool is comparable to Rangers to Liverpool. Okay, so you're saying it's a similar jump. I would still say it's a bigger jump from Feyenoord, because in the Dutch league you're dealing with Ajax. Feyenoord are not typically like part of a two, Rangers and Celtic, that sort of thing. So I still think it's a bigger jump from the Dutch league than it is from the Scottish league. Because think about it, Ajax got to Champions League semi-final not too long ago in the one that Liverpool won. So Ajax were in the Champions League semi-final, but I've never seen a Scottish team get that far. Wayne says the more this goes on, the more it's going to end up being blown out of proportion. I agree, which is why at the start I kept saying, let's look at the facts of the situation. Let's look at this factually. Everyone's saying, oh, Salah's been betrayed. Salah's been let down. They've stabbed Salah in the back. I'm like, okay, let's look at this factually. Take a breath. He's been dropped for 3 games. That's all that's happened. He's broken a nail. He hasn't broken a foot. That's all that's happened. So it is being blown out of proportion. Yeah, Klopp's not coming back. The media says Salah's behaving like a child, throwing his toys at the cop. I understand that reaction. He may come in an advisory. You mean Stevie G? As a coach? So when you say advisory, do you mean like as part of the backroom staff? That I wouldn't mind. If he was coming in a advisory role as part of backroom staff, I wouldn't mind that. I just do not want him to be the gaffer. Gerard, as caretaker for Liverpool, would be like Shearer for Liverpool. Sorry, Shearer for Liverpool. Shearer for Newcastle. Is that when he got him relegated? I can't remember. But I think you might have gotten them relegated. Quick fix, says Jeffrey. Snapey says Mo should have kept it in-house. I agree. For all Mo's undeniable contributions, he is causing irreparable damage to his legacy. Personally, Slots lost the dressing room a while ago. Mo's outburst has exacerbated that. I agree, and I find the timing of it quite selfish, to be honest. This is also a situation where Liverpool are terrible. Liverpool are not doing very good, and the things the players always say is, in their interviews, we need the fan base to be united. We need the fan base to come together. We need the fan base to support us. We need the fan base to basically be as one. But by Salah doing this, he has split the fan base in half for his own means. He split the fan base in half. I don't know, is it 60-40, 50-50? He's put himself on a pedestal. This is the worst time to do it. This is the time where like you would want the fans to be united. But he's caused a split now because he doesn't like it when the attention is not on him. We need to understand as well, Liverpool have played 20 games this season. He has started 17 of those. So it is not a case of him not being given a chance. He has been given sufficient chance. And the thing is, I don't even mind him not performing because I know he's human. He's 34. It's okay. These things happen. Don't worry about it. It's okay. I don't mind him not performing. But it's the fact that he's done this sanctimonious interview now where he has said, and I quote, if I can find the damn thing, I am not fighting for my position every day because I've earned it. I could not disagree with that anymore. Because you were good in previous seasons, that means you should automatically get to play every single game because you were good in previous seasons. That's not how it works. If that's how it works, let's get Gerrard back and let's get Graham Souness back and let's have those two in midfield against Inter. No, you're judged on your recent form. It's insane. Say if he got badly injured, what then? As in Salah or who? Zaim says, could it work if Klopp comes in as an official caretaker role, so no talk about a permanent role until we find a replacement in the summer? It feels a bit moot to talk about it because it won't happen. Because like they will phrase things professionally and as eloquently as they can because they are a business at the end of the day. But at a human level, we all know Edwards and Klopp don't get on. So as long as Edwards is there as the head of football, Klopp is not going to come back. But even for argument's sake, if we were to pretend that would not be an issue, I do not like temporary solutions. Because also, you have to also remember, in the back of players' heads, they're going to be thinking, okay, this guy's going to be gone in 3 months. Okay, this guy's going to be gone in 2 months. Okay, this guy's going to be gone in 1 month. I don't need to run around. A caretaker says, you're a supply teacher. You're not the real teacher, you're the supply teacher. So a caretaker also sends the wrong message to the playing staff. That's the way I see it. I would want a permanent solution because caretaker is just moving a problem to a different day. June says Sabo Prime or Salah Prime. Oh, Salah Prime 100%. To be fair, Szoboszlai has not had his prime yet, but I doubt he will reach Salah's levels. Jonathan says Mo should go Saudi, get bag of money and build hospital and schools. To be honest, that looks like that will happen now, unfortunately. Yeah, you'd get Gerrard as backroom staff. I wouldn't mind. Gerrard as the manager, I do not want. Crazy FC guy, how's it going? I hope you are good. Crazy FC guy says finesse minus is Salah right now. You have to tell me what that means. What does finesse minus mean? Yeah, he got them relegated, didn't he? Yes, Shearer did terribly. Salah kicked Slot whilst he was down. I think that's a fair point. And what's to say if you give in to somebody who does this, if you give in to Salah, you are rewarding this behavior, number one. And point number two, if you reward this behavior, what is to say he won't then do the exact same thing with the next manager? You can't reward this kind of behavior. This is a Ronaldo versus Ten Hag situation. Both at fault. I agree, both at fault. Ronaldo was aging and entitled, and Ten Hag, who was clueless. Yeah, it is very similar. It is a scarily similar situation. Jeffrey says Salah's a great footballer, but now the kids are better. You might be onto something. The thing is, we will never truly know if the kids are better unless the kids are given a chance. I think the kids need to be given a chance to prove that they're better or worse. But he's throwing a fit 3 games into them being given a chance. Like you've been given 20 games this season. You've done nothing. At least let Wirtz have 5 to 10 games. At least let Ekitike and Issa get a run in the team. You've had 20 games. You've done nothing. You only appear when you need something. If you need a new contract, you'll appear. If you want more money, it's I think I'm more out than I am in. If you want something else, you will say, what did he say a few years ago? If I speak, there will be fire. But you know when you don't speak when Liverpool get battered by Man City. You know when you don't speak when Liverpool get battered by Nottingham Forest. You know when you don't speak when Liverpool get battered by PSV. It's irritating, man. Adebanyo says, everyone tends to have forgotten that Salah had done things before. Yes. This is correct. This is a good memory. Salah has done this before with Klopp. Do you remember the time period? I think it was when Klopp dropped Salah for Elliott. I think Klopp dropped Salah for Elliott, and he was throwing a fit then. He needs to stop using the media, because inevitably I feel that when he does that, he turns Liverpool fans against Liverpool fans. And it just happens. It just happens too often. You know, when Salah scored against Chelsea, the banger years ago, that was a good goal, to be fair. Snapey says Klopp won't return. I agree. He had too much power over Edwards. They were scared of the adulation Jurgen had bestowed on him from us. Hence Klopp working within the financial constraints forced upon him. I agree. There is no chance. There is no chance in hell that Klopp comes back. Back in the day as well, from a organizational structure perspective, I believe you had the manager, and I believe horizontally, if you think of an org structure diagram, horizontally from the manager on the organizational structure diagram, you had the sporting director. So I believe back in the day, Klopp and Edwards were at the same level. Now, in the new organizational structure, you've got head coach, not manager, head coach at the bottom, sporting director above him, technical director above him, which is Julian Ward, and at the very top you got Michael Edwards, who works for FSG, who doesn't work for Liverpool. So Michael Edwards is going to be 3 levels above Klopp in an organizational perspective. Klopp ain't walking back into that. I'm sorry to say. Jonathan says, Mo, leave the football before the football leaves you. He should retire from football. The thing is with Salah, I still think he's got a lot to offer. I still think he's got a lot to give, but unfortunately, this interview is bizarre. This interview is bizarre. Is that a chess reference? I'll be honest. You would batter me at chess. Lee says, could have kept his mouth shut. Won't help anyone or anything when you talk to the media. I agree 1,000%. Because again, if we consider yesterday, so if we consider yesterday morning, Slot was under pressure. Yesterday morning, everyone was saying Slot's got maybe 1 more game, Slot's got maybe 2 more games, Slot's got maybe 3 more games. So Slot was in the firing line yesterday. And Salah was under no risk because Salah was contracted to a long, expensive contract. But by Salah doing this interview, Salah has now exposed himself to risk, and Salah has made himself the biggest problem in the eyes of the ownership. So now in the eyes of the ownership, I'm worried that the ownership are now gonna think, oh crap, we need to get rid of Salah because he's volatile. And by them prioritizing getting rid of Salah above getting rid of Slot, that means Slot's gonna be here longer. If Salah just kept his mouth shut, as Lee says, Slot would have been gone within a few weeks. Salah would have a new manager and Salah would probably be starting. So it's that like DJ Khaled meme, you know, where he says you played yourself. It kind of feels like that. June says Klopp is a super motivator or team teacher. He's always done his best. Would give him a second chance. Generally speaking, I would love to have him back. The only thing is, with Michael Edwards there, I don't think he'd want to come back. And secondly, I would want a long-term solution. I wouldn't want him just back for a few years and then he leaves again in 2 years, because I think that way you simply move the problem to a later date. Up says Salah would make sense if he's playing good. He's thrown himself under the bus. Yeah, he's thrown himself under the bus with those comments. I agree with you. He is by saying I am not fighting for my position every day because I have earned it. Number one, I'm like, what? And number two, yeah, you're throwing yourself under the bus. You've had 20 games this season. You've done F4. You've barely scored. You've barely assisted. You definitely don't run back. I can't remember the last time he beat a fullback. All I remember is Nico Williams absolutely having his number. And I'm not saying he needs to leave the team, but sometimes a bit of time on the bench can get you firing again. But to do this after being dropped for 3 games is crazy. Yeah, Ruben Amorim. That's what many people say. Clapham Red Hand says slot isn't the issue. You the man says Slot cannot manage. I do think his man management probably needs a fair amount of work, to be honest with you. Liverpool are just rubbish. Fair enough. That's the point. Kyle's Salah's acting like he has this is kind of what I was saying. Salah's acting like it's August and we've just dropped him instantly. No. You've had 20 games, mate. You had 20 games where you've done F all. You've had the opportunity. You've had 20 opportunities to do something and you've been pants. So why shouldn't Wirtz get the opportunity now? Why shouldn't Ekitike get the opportunity now? Why shouldn't Isak get the opportunity now? It's just been 3 games. This is such a selfish thing to do when you've been dropped for 3 games. 3 games is nothing. That's like a week these days. You've been dropped for a week. It's so selfish. I think getting an interim till after the World Cup and then getting Nagelsmann is long term. Do you think Nagelsmann's that good a manager? Didn't he get sacked from Bayern? Or is there more to that? Is there more to that story? For me, generally speaking, I don't like the concept of an interim. Number one, because I feel like that is moving a problem to a later date. And number two, it kind of gives supply teacher vibes, where a lot of the players will know, okay, this guy's not going to be here for a long time. Therefore, we don't need to perform because this guy's interim, he'll be gone in a week. This guy's interim, he'll be gone in a month. Jody Jean says, do you cash in on Salah? Do you feel? Originally, I had thought they were gonna cash in on Salah at the end of the season. So that is what I originally thought was going to happen. Now, to be honest with you, I suspect they might cash in on him, in January. Because imagine saying that about your boss and your employer and then going back to work on Monday. So unfortunately, he might have played his last game. Salah sounded selfish, I agree. Very, very selfish and very entitled, to be honest with you. Very selfish and very entitled. You've only been dropped for 3 games. This is a gross overreaction. When you've only been dropped for 3 games. And 3 games, in current terms, is not 3 weeks. It's about 1 week. And additionally, if we consider it's a bit misleading as well to call it 3 games. Because in the Sunderland game, he came on at half-time. So bang on 45 minutes, that's when he came on. Which is irritating, to say the least. Finn says, has Slot been axed? He's not been axed yet. But he may be axed soon. The thing is, I would have thought he'd get axed in the next few days. But with Salah doing these comments, unfortunately, I think they're going to keep the manager around for longer. Zaim says, more to that, this is on Nagelsmann. He was young and had ideas that the old guard did not like. Okay. That could work out quite well then, with that in mind. Jonathan says Liverpool should get Fabregas. He's amazing and good with young players. A lot of people have been hyping up Fabregas, to be fair. My only concern would be, is he is the Arsenal connection a bit too strong? I agree. Slot is also at fault this season, and I do think Liverpool need to perhaps move on from him, especially because he seems to have lost the dressing room. But I think two things can be correct at the same time. I think Salah can be out of order, and I think Slot can also need to move on. Snapey says, taking Mo out of the equation for a second, Slot's tactical ineptitude and primitive man management methodology are the root cause of the unrest. We can't keep attributing this to Jota's death. I agree. I think in many ways, Slot's man management approach is the polar opposite to Klopp's man management approach. Klopp was more of a friend, more of a treated the players as his equals, you could say, and instill the culture whereby he'd be the player's friend but not their best friend. Whereas Slot is completely different. He's more authoritarian, I think. So I think that would have been quite the culture shock for the players, number one. And number two, I don't think a authoritarian method of management works in the modern day. And not just in football, whatever job you have, I don't think that works as well these days. You can't shout at people, you can't treat people like rubbish and expect them to perform. I know from teams I've had in the past, people work best when you treat them well and you make them feel valued. And I think it's more of a cultural shift that has occurred in the last 10, maybe 20 years. I just think the authoritarian way of doing it, in terms of the Slot way, in terms of the Ten Hag way, that doesn't work as well these days. You have to take players on the journey and take them on a journey with you. Jonathan says, who do you think the best young midfielder? Pedri, João Neves or Modric? Young midfielder, Modric. I'm tempted just to say Modric because he's not young in the slightest. Jeffrey says, quick fix now is long term. Yes, this is it. People's desire and people's fetish with implementing some sort of quick fix so that they can feel good for about 2 weeks is highly concerning. You want Gerrard. You're going to feel good for 2 weeks. And then you're going to get somebody who's even more authoritarian than Slot. Who's an even worse man manager than Slot. Did you see Gerrard? Did you see Gerrard in Saudi? Saying, go get the ball. You really want that guy? You really want that guy? Managing multimillionaires? That's not going to work. Quick fix will give you happiness for a week, but it will move you forward one step and then it will move you back about 15. Knight says, Klopp was a father to those guys. I agree. Kanif says, in your opinion, should he have went public or have the conversation behind closed doors? I think based on what he said and given what he said and given the content of what he has said, I don't think it was appropriate to do that in public. I would have rather this would be something that was handled internally. Because he hasn't just made Slot look bad, he's made Liverpool as an entire institution look bad, because he kept saying, he only mentioned Slot by name once. Most often he kept saying Liverpool. He kept saying them. I think you've made the club look bad. And I think additionally he's caused a split in the fan base. And you don't want splits in a fan base at the best of times, but you especially do not want a split in a fan base when things are going terribly. You want to have people united. You want people focusing on a united goal. It's selfish. That's all I can say. Dafro says, Amarim, did you go to Liverpool? I did, but keep it a secret. I don't want Sir Jim finding out because he might find me. I think Snapey's onto something. Slot's autocratic approach is emotionally detached. I agree, it's emotionally detached, and this is something that I think would have worked back in the day, but I think society has moved on. I think culture has moved on, and I don't think management these days works when you just scream at people and treat them as expendable. I think you need to make whoever you manage feel like they're an equal, and feel like if you make them feel like they're an equal, they'll go further for you. Yeah, Fergie was like that, but I think that's a sign of the times. I think the 90s and kind of early 2000s were a very different time to today. Think about what you could say back then and what you can't say now. It's completely different. And I just don't think I just don't think the more ruthless approach works as well these days. When you mentioned Ten Hag, where is he right now? I think he's at home. Got his feet up. I was gonna say combing his hair, but I do not think he's combing his hair. Adebanyo says the real facts about all these issues is Klopp is a jovial and tactical coach who is a father to all his players. The attitude of Klopp made the players do more for the coach. That's it. I agree. When you form that kind of relationship with your team, and it doesn't necessarily just have to be a football thing. I think whenever you manage people, whether it's outside of football, inside of football, whether it's at Tesco, whether you're an accountant and you're managing people, whether you're a doctor, you're managing people, I think these days, when you treat people well, that's when you get the best out of people. When you create like an open culture, that's when you get the best out of people. When you create an autocratic culture where they are perhaps a bit too scared to voice their opinion, maybe that's why this has gone public, because he felt too scared and too intimidated, and he felt like he wasn't being listened to internally, and therefore he felt the need that I have to do something externally. Maybe that's a reason, but I do think that's that could be a reason. Jonathan says Gerrard will slip on his way to Anfield. Let's hope not. Mark says Slot needs to go. I do think he needs to go. Unfortunately, I think now, with Salah doing this interview, Salah, in the eyes of the management layer, has made himself the biggest problem. Like, Slot was the biggest problem. Slot was here. Slot was the biggest problem. Saturday morning, Slot was the biggest problem. We need to get rid of Slot. Now that Salah's publicly slated the Liverpool ownership and publicly slated Liverpool, Salah's put himself as the biggest problem. And typically in any organization, when you resolve problems, you resolve the biggest problem first. That's why Man United haven't fixed the roof for 20 years. Because it's not the biggest problem. You deal with the biggest problem first, which is that the playing squad is rubbish. And I just fear that by Salah doing this, he's made himself the biggest problem, number one, which means they're going to deal with the Salah situation first, which ultimately means Slot is going to stay around for longer. Because Slot is now the number 2 biggest problem. It is wild. Adebanyo says, I really remember in 2019 when Firmino scored his first goal for Liverpool and jumped on Klopp. Mane. Yeah, that was Mane. Yeah, the Mane one. Broke his glasses. And Klopp went to the media and said he'll be deducted from his salary. I think was that Mane? It was maybe Mane or Lallana. One of those two. But yeah, I remember that. That was funny, to be fair. I can't lie. Yes, Snapey knows what I mean. But to be fair, he's phrasing it in better language. The problem with Salah's outburst is it indirectly strengthens Slot's potentially untenable position. That was kind of literally what I was trying to say. Motivating modern players is a balancing act, is a double-edged sword. Balanced minds are relaxed. I agree. I think it's a case of, and it's a Klopp quote, to be fair, it's a Klopp quote, so I can't take ownership for this. But he said, I'll be your friend, but I won't be your best friend. And I think that's perhaps the level at which they have to target it. But yeah, with Salah's outburst, as you've said there, I feel like he has now made himself the biggest problem that the ownership will seek to resolve, which ultimately means every other problem, whether it was the manager, whether it was the centre-back, every other problem, it has now moved down a step, which means Slot's gonna stay around for longer. I think Slot will get away with this. I think it will. I think he will still, in all likelihood, lose his job. But I think this has brought him some time, accidentally and inadvertently. I feel like this has. I feel like this has bought some. This has bought him time. Rank these in terms of best managers. As in who would I want? As in who would I want? As in who would I want? I would take my grandma over Pochettino, and like she died 20 years ago, so that tells you how much I don't rate Pochettino. Maybe Alonso, Iraola, Glasner, Nagelsmann. But I almost feel like there is no correct answer to that. But that's probably what I do. Alonso, Iraola, Glasner, Nagelsmann, Pochettino could not be less interesting. I'd rather keep Slot. I don't want Pochettino. I do not like. I do not like him. A good manager delegates efficiently. Sure, you can lean on the manager in tough times, but the players have to lean on each other for the larger percentage of the time. That is true. That is true. And I'd also say the manager is responsible for creating the culture that enables that, and is responsible for creating the culture that facilitates that. But unfortunately, it just seems like that's absent. That's absent at the moment. So ultimately, I do think Slot will go. But unfortunately, it's probably going to be delayed at this point. RMC says the squad definitely backed Salah and wanted him to be the one to speak out. But do we know that for definite? But do we actually know that for definite? That's the thing. Do we actually know that? Like, if I'm to make that assertion in a court of law, will the judge agree with me? Will the jury agree with me? Or will the jury say I'm chatting waffle? What evidence do I have of that? That's the only thing. I don't feel like we know that definitely. Raj says, why don't you apply for the job, bro? You seem to have all the answers. I do have all the answers, but many people think that I look like Ruben Amorim, so it would confuse many people if the Man United manager and the Liverpool manager look the same. Adebanyo said, the only solution for Liverpool now is for Slot to call all the players for an emergency meeting. Then after a positive or negative result of the meeting, take them out for lunch and pay. Klopp done it. I mean, as a option in terms of improving morale, in terms of improving how people feel, I think you might be onto something. I think morale is very low. So you often have to think about what can I do to improve morale. The only thing is I wouldn't want it to, as an example, just be a lunch, and then after the lunch he goes back to his normal ways. If you know what I mean, I'd want something more long term, but it's a good start. Yeah, I get the Amorim comparisons all the time, which to be honest I don't really mind, because I think as far as managers go. that's probably a good manager to look like. Now, if people were calling me Big Sam, I would be extremely concerned. If people were calling me Sean Dyche, I'd be very worried. So I think I take the Amorim thing as a compliment. Amorim's aesthetics, it could be detrimental. Yeah, it certainly could. Yes, Salah and Amorim. Those are the two. Those are the two that I get the most. To be honest, I don't mind. It's all good. It's all good. Pochettino can bring the best out of the 10 position, like Dele Alli. Palmer also has soft management skills. The thing is, I don't want a soft manager. I want an orator. I want I want somebody who's strong but is good to people. And I think that's a very fine balance that's very hard to find. Somebody who's strong but is good to people. Because if he's too soft, that's no good either. Because if he's too soft, then he's not going to defend the players. If you look at Klopp was hard. Like, Klopp was a tough guy, but he was also good to players. If anything ever went wrong with the players, in the post-match interviews, he would always put the blame on himself. He'd always say, you know what, it's my fault. Like, don't blame Elliot, don't blame Mane. He would always put the blame on himself. So I think it's a tough mix to find. Somebody who's tough and decisive, but can also get on well with players. And I think that's perhaps why I was leaning towards Alonso. Big Sam. I think I look like Big Sam. I think I might need to. I have had an ice cream today, so if you're saying that, I might need to put the ice creams down. Salah has openly suggested he wants to say goodbye to the fans. Because of this, the Brighton game will likely be treated as an important moment for him, even if nothing is announced. I noticed that as well. He was framing it as a goodbye, but you've put yourself in that situation. Again, let's look at the facts. Whenever things start getting a bit intense, whenever things start getting a bit spicy, I always say, let's look at the facts. And the facts are, he's been dropped for 3 games. That's it. That's all that's happened. He's been dropped for 3 games. And it's like an Indian drama where, like, you know how they like always like overreact to like the tiniest thing. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to say goodbye. What? You've just been dropped for 3 games. Keep your pants on, keep your hair on, chill out. If things are not going well for you, find your way back into the team. Get your head down, get back into the team. He's just overreacting like a baby and a child. And I'm like, this ain't it, man. This is not it. I can't say I'm a particularly big fan of that. Verbal dexterity is one of the key ingredients of delegation within a team structure. For me, it's the balancing act between a forthright monologue behind closed doors and fronting the media. I agree. A lot of the time, with respect to verbal dexterity, I think it's about how you say things rather than what you say. Klopp and Slot are probably saying similar things, but Slot is a bit more blunt, and I think by virtue of being a bit more blunt, you have less verbal dexterity. So quite often it's about how you say things and how the things that you say allow you to get the best out of your team. But unfortunately, I suspect something's gone terribly wrong because motivation seems like it's at its lowest. The players do not seem to be playing for this manager. So I think it's a case of when, not if, this manager goes. And when, not if, this manager goes, I'd like to see somebody a bit less ruthless, but I don't know if ruthless is the correct word. But I'd like to see somebody who's better at managing the players and taking the players on a journey, you could say. Mosgalt says, a departure from Liverpool is now the expected outcome, either in January or the summer. And the Brighton match may effectively be his final moment with the Anfield crowd. Indeed, it may be, but that's his entire fault. Are you honestly telling me, oh, I love the club, I love Liverpool, my daughter was born here, everyone loves Liverpool, Liverpool's great, Liverpool's the best, Liverpool's amazing, I love Liverpool, Liverpool forever, but if you drop me for 3 games, F you, I'm gone. Really? You're telling me you love it? You're telling me you love it here? You're telling me you love the club? You're telling me you love the fans? But all that's happened to you, big guy, all that's happened to you, big shot, is you've been dropped for 3 games. And not even 3 games, 2.5 games. And that's enough for you to pack your bags. See through the nonsense, man. Just because these people are footballers, don't hold them up to like a higher pedestal. They will also lie to you. They will lie to you to further their own interests. You love it here. It's great. You love the fans. You love this. You love the city. You love the club. You love the staff. But if you drop me for 3 games, which is nothing, if you drop me for 3 games, F you, I'm going. Get out of here, man. If that's your attitude, then you can do one. Adebanyo says, "Oh, you're right, my friend. You really look like Amarim." Yeah, a lot of people say that. My bro, I really love you so much, and I'd like to meet you soon. I'll be working on that. Sounds like a plan. We can perhaps put a plan together regarding how Liverpool can get out of the rut that they are in. Because I'm talking sense, and you are also talking sense. So sounds like a good plan to me. Slot's monologue probably isn't perceived as humanitarian behind closed doors, whereas Jurgen's was more emotionally succinct. I met Klopp twice, and the guy had a heart big as a dustbin lid. Slot's cold. Yeah, I think the different. I think it's twofold. So I think number one, Slot's management structure and the way he phrases things is perhaps not as gentle, and I don't think such a authoritarian approach works today, regardless of if you're a Liverpool manager or if you're an accountant or if you're an IT developer or if you own a window cleaning company. I don't think that approach works as well these days, number one. And number two, from a player's perspective, they're coming from something that was a polar opposite. They're coming from a guy that was hugs and kisses. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. In fact, there are advantages to that. But they're coming from a guy who was hugs and kisses to the polar opposite, who is, I'll pat you on the shoulder, but I won't look at you. It's so it's like, generally speaking, I don't know if his management structure works as well these days. But additionally, the fact that it's such a polar opposite to what was there before, that makes the gap even wider. Banderas says, followed. Appreciate that. I thought it was Salah speaking. Yeah, quite. I get that a lot. People say Salah or Amarim. Those are the two that I get. Which, to be fair, like if you think about it, it's not that bad. I always say, if people were calling me Sam Allardyce or like Roy Hodgson, I'd be very worried. I'll take Salah. I'll take Amarim. Salah's going to say bye to the fans before the African Cup. Okay, but again, that's entirely a situation that he's created. Liverpool don't want to get rid of him. He's created this situation. He's made himself out to be the victim in this situation. All Liverpool did was drop you for 3 games. Are you that volatile? Is your ego that fragile? Are you that pathetic? Are you that pathetic that as soon as you encounter the slightest tough, like as soon as life gets slightly tough, as soon as things get slightly hard, you're like, oh, I'm off, I'm gonna go, I can't handle it. What? Really? Are you that fragile? Are you that pathetic that as soon as things get hard, you run off? It's insane. Kyle's calling me Big Sam. Thankfully, Sam's not got a beard. Thankfully. Salarim. Oh, that's a good. Yeah. I was trying to come up with a different combination, but I think your combination's a good one. Lucas says you're full of yourself. That's the wrong "you're," but if I point that out, I'm probably proving your point. Snapey says you're probably more accurate than you think. Modern societal values have changed in recent times, and you're right to highlight the greater prominence of humanitarianism, irrespective of the sector. Yeah, it's something I've noticed. I think I first started working. My first job was perhaps 15 years ago. I think 2011 was my first job after uni. And just comparing the managers I had then compared to the managers I have now, and also comparing myself with respect to how I am as a manager compared to how managers treated me back in the day, it's polar opposite. It's completely different. And also some of my colleagues, just the way they operate, it's completely different to how it was back in 2011, which is not a long time. Which is not a long time. I definitely think things were a lot different back in the day. It was more back in the day. Here's my order. You have to do it, and if you don't do it, it's the end of the world. Things are more. There's more of a discussion these days. Things are more verbal. It's more about feelings. It's more about communication, which is fine. I guess that's how society advances. But which is fine. But I think that way of doing things seems to work better these days. Your handsome soul. Neil Warnock type. Give me a second. TikTok keeps saying I'm inactive, but I'm not inactive. I'm here. It just keeps giving me an error. Yeah, that's it. As a Banderas says, bench 3 times, runs to the press and says, "Oh, I'm gonna leave. It's gonna be my last game." What? Have a backbone. Are you that fragile? Is your ego that fragile? You get dropped for 3 games and suddenly you want to leave. You want to leave. Oh, the club that you love. The staff that you love, the team that you love, really? Because I don't think you would have loved them if you were dropped for 3 games. I'd understand if you had a terrible year, you had a terrible season. Imagine he had something similar to the Chiesa season of last year. If he had something similar to that, where he's just not being played, he's just not being made use of, I'd understand, you know what, you want to move on. No problem. You've been dropped for 3 games. 3 games is nothing. And you haven't even fully been dropped for 3 games. Because in the Sunderland game, you came on at 45 minutes. That's half the game right there. Do you remember Martin Skirtle? I do remember him. He's got hair now. So it's a bit weird that he did not have hair back in the day, but he's got hair now. Mo Scout says, at this point, Mo Salah's last words will probably be... Oh, Jesus Christ! Don't give him ideas. Because then he'll probably do that. His last words will probably be "F you, I'm out of here, never coming back." And then 3-4 months later, when he starts to flop, he says, "I want to come back." I'm sorry. Just the mental image. You just created a mental image in my head of him sticking the middle finger up, saying "F you." That would be funny. I shouldn't laugh, but that would be kind of funny. I just think it's a gross overreaction for a player who has only been dropped for 3 games. Corey says, Liverpool fan here. Mo has spat his dummy out. He's been one of our worst performances this year. Agree 1,000%. He has had game after game after game. Liverpool have played approximately 20 games this year. He has had 20 games to prove himself. He has had 20 games where he has done absolutely nothing. Let's go back 6 games. Man City game, he played the full game. Liverpool got battered. Nottingham Forest game, he played the full game. Liverpool got battered. PSV game, he played the full game. Liverpool got battered. So whenever he plays, Liverpool get battered. Conversely, when he gets dropped, Liverpool beat West Ham. Liverpool draw against Leeds and Sunderland, I believe. So if you want to look at this purely factually, purely unemotionally, when you were playing him, you were losing him. But you were losing games, and when he's dropped, you are not losing games. It's a bit cold looking at it from that perspective, but that's also the fact. Salah should leave in a good note. Not this way. He's a great footballer. Broke many records. Do it the right way. Oh, I agree. He's not going about this the right way. And it just makes everything he said feel a bit flat and feel ungenuine. I love the club. I love it here. No, you don't. If you love the club, you wouldn't be throwing your toys at the pram after 3 games. I think in Holland, you can still be honest and blunt. I should know. I went to Holland 3 weeks ago. But yeah, generally speaking, I think that fine line in terms of being honest with someone you manage, but being honest in such a way that it doesn't hurt their confidence, That is a tough balance, and I think that's what made Klopp special. Anfield Dad says no player is bigger than the club. Salah's been poor all season. Agree 1000%. He's acting like he hasn't been given a chance. We've had 20 games, and he's had 20 games where he's done bugger all. You've had a chance. So what is the impact of this? Are we saying we can never drop him? We can never drop him because he was good in previous years? I mean, look at this. Look at the bit that I've highlighted. I'm not fighting for my position every day because I've earned it. Disagree with that 1000%. And if percentages were out of 1,000,000, I would disagree with that 1,000,000%. You don't earn your position and then you don't earn your position from things that happened in previous years and then never get dropped again. What planet is he living on? You're judged by your recent performances. Do you think we should never drop you because you're a legend? By that argument, let's get Gerrard back, let's get Souness back, and let's stick him in the squad against Inter. Maybe we can stick John Barnes on the wing. Maybe that will pay some of his debts. Like, just because you're a legend, it doesn't mean you have a divine right and a God-given right to be playing at absolutely every single game. How's it going, Helena? Hope you are good. If Salah's ego is as fragile as it seems, then perhaps a move is his best option. I agree. Yesterday, I wasn't even thinking about any sort of move for Salah. That wasn't even on my radar. And I would like to think that was not on the radar of most Liverpool fans yesterday. What? Get rid of Salah? No. Like, okay, his form is not great, but he's out of the team, and then hopefully that will motivate him to come back into the team. No problem. Yesterday, Arne Slot was the biggest problem. But after Salah's outburst, he's made himself the biggest problem now, which ultimately means the manager problem has moved down the pecking order, so Slot will probably survive Christmas. Liverpool historically have never had too many self-entitled players. Were born of Shankly's jockstrap socialism. The entitlement I just do not like. It just rubs me up the wrong way. I was not meaning to go live today because we did the Liverpool game yesterday, but I was just so disgusted by these comments. That I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to. G says no footballer is bigger than the club. Agree 100%. Let's kill the vibe. Adam says Edwards and Co are not bigger than the club. The club is the people. I stand with Salah. But what has happened? Who has victimized Salah? What has happened to Salah? What's happened? What is this terrible crime that has happened to Salah that justifies this kind of reaction? Can somebody tell me what the crime is that has been committed against Salah? Is he the victim of some sort of crime that I haven't seen? Because all that's happened is he's been dropped for 3 games. Helena is from Netherlands. Nice. I was in your country a few weeks ago. I went to Amsterdam, and I went to The Hague, and I went to Zaandam. It was very nice. As in any walk of life, we are as good as our last performance. Agree, and I think that is especially relevant. That is especially relevant in football. And also any sport. Let's say you have a boxer and let's say you have a boxer or a UFC fighter who goes 16 fights unbeaten, and then on the 17th fight they get knocked out. Does that mean the new guy's not the champion just because you have a run of 16? No. The latest match is the indicator of the truth. Just because you've won 16 fights and then you get knocked out, that doesn't mean you keep your belt. You don't keep your belt. You've just been knocked out, so the belt goes to the new guy. It's annoying, man. Are there parallels of when Salah struggled for game time at Chelsea with a more divisive manager in Mourinho? It could be. He always says his favourite manager is the Roma manager. I can't remember who that was at Roma, but he always says that is his favourite manager. So he had a good relationship with that manager. he had a good relationship with Klopp. It could be something in that. It could be a ego thing. But interestingly, Salah had no problem with Slot last year. So is it a case of Salah's not performing and Salah's dropped and Salah's now taking that out on the manager? Because you had no problem with Slot last year. That's it, Spalletti. For some reason I was thinking Sarri. So I'm thinking it wasn't Sarri. But yeah, Spalletti. Zandam's very nice. Amsterdam's very nice. Yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it. I saw your King and Queen, by the way. I was walking and I got stuck in like a police area where they have the tape around. And then long story short, 20 police cars went past and then your King and Queen got out. So that was a nice experience. Amsterdam's beautiful, been several times. It was great. Yeah, it's the second time I've been. But I definitely need to go again. Really enjoyed it. Adam with the capital says, stop pretending this wasn't all about scapegoating Salah and selling him in the window. Let's be real. What do you mean? I don't understand. Salah has been in the team. Liverpool have played 20 games this season. Salah has played the majority of those games. Salah has been rubbish in those games. Salah played against Man City, Liverpool lost. Salah played against Nottingham Forest, Liverpool lost. Salah played against PSV, Liverpool lost. And that's fine. Like, he's a human being at the end of the day. But whenever Salah plays, Liverpool lost. Liverpool drop Salah and suddenly they go unbeaten. I just think he's throwing his toys at the pram. Adebanyo says, when you coming to Nigeria, sir? Soon. I haven't visited much of Africa, but it is on my list. It is on my list. So I may have to pay a visit. Salah is making assumptions about being a shoe-in, to start. Typifies the maxim that assumption is the mother of all catastrophes. Indeed it does. Indeed it does. It's just the entitlement. It's just, for me, players are judged on their form. And here's the funny thing as well. Liverpool dropped Salah for the West Ham game. And then Liverpool won that game 2-0 with an amazing performance. Nobody had a problem with Salah being dropped then. Nobody had any sort of problem with Salah being dropped at that point. So why have people suddenly changed their opinions just because Salah's throwing a fit? I think that's enabling bad behaviour. I think the Dutch players at Liverpool are bad. Van Dijk, Gravenberch, Gakpo and Frimpong are the best Dutch players. I think Van der Ven is a good Dutch player. Van der Ven's very good. I would love to have him at Liverpool. I do think Slot is at fault with respect to the culture at the club and with respect to the motivation at the club, because it seems very low. I do think Slot is at fault there. What I'm hoping is a new manager comes in and it remotivates these players. But unfortunately, with Salah throwing a tantrum, I fear that the search for the new manager is now priority order number 2. And getting rid of Salah is unfortunately going to be priority order number 1. Where in the world are you? I'm in the UK. So I live in England, but I'm going to Italy next week on holiday. So I'm going to miss the Tottenham game, but that's probably for the best. Probably for the best. Yeah, Van der Ven's a very good player. Master of Disaster, that could be Arne Slot's username, or Slot's username. Sorry, Salah's username. I actually thought you were Salah for a second. I do get that. I do get that a lot. Julian says, "Get Salah out." I think he's played his last game. He's lost the locker room. I agree entirely. But unfortunately, I think with Salah's outburst, Slot is gonna stay here for a bit longer now. Unfortunately, I think Slot is now gonna stay here a bit longer because typically things are done in a priority order. That's why Man United have never fixed their roof that's leaking. I mean, they can fix it, but it's a low priority. Typically within any organization, you do things in a priority order. And I think Slot's replacement would have been the number one priority. But with Salah doing this, that has jumped up to the number one priority slot now, which means manager's going to stay around for longer. Your statistical analogy regarding Salah's absence coinciding with better results is irrefutable corroboration of your point. Thank you very much. I was trying to just lay the facts out because I feel like everyone's, number one, overreacting, and number one, being overly emotional when all that has happened here is a player's been dropped for 3 games. But if you see the facts, i.e. if you see the result of dropping him for 3 games, Liverpool lost 3 games and then they dropped him and then they went unbeaten. Facts don't lie. People won't like the fact, people will cry about it, but I don't make the rules. The things are going badly. It's not all Salah's fault. Every player is to blame. I think every player is to blame, and I think the management is also to blame with respect to the coaches. And I would argue the sporting director is also to blame, specifically regarding why did he leave the Mark Gahey deal to the very last minute of the very last second. If you leave anything to the last second, there's a chance it won't happen. If you leave your homework to the last second, there's a chance it won't happen. If you leave catching the train to the very last second, there's a chance that you'll miss it. So I hold them responsible as well. But Salah doing this doesn't help matters, because as we've established, multiple things are going wrong at the same time. Unfortunately, Salah doing this yesterday makes things worse. If I'm honest, it makes things worse. Because number one, it splits the fan base. And number two, it gives the management team something else to worry about, another headache. And I haven't even thought about the impact on the other players. It's wild, man. It is wild. Ayman says 1-0 easy win. Is that against Liverpool? Yeah, no one player is bigger than the fan. Click the wrong thing. No player is bigger than the club, I agree. It's just that statement there where he says, I'm not fighting for my position every day because I've earned it. Hell yes, you are fighting for your position. You're not bigger than the club. And for you to not throw a strop and say, I'm going to leave, Brighton's my last game, I'm going to wave goodbye to the fans, that makes a lot of what you've said about loving the club, about loving the staff, about loving, as you've said there, about loving the staff, that makes that all seem nonsense. If you're ready to throw the towel in because you got dropped for 3 games, that's weak mentality as far as I'm concerned. Slot's position is untenable. He only gives interviews when he spits. He only gives interviews when he wants something. If he wants a new contract, he'll do an interview. If he wants a new deal, he'll do an interview. If something's bothering him, if something's personally bothering him, he'll do an interview. But if the interview benefits him, he'll do it. But if the interview benefits the fans, or if the interview benefits the club as an institution, he won't do it. It would have been nice to hear from him after Man City battered us. It would have been nice to hear from him after Nottingham Forest battered us at home. It would have been nice to hear from him after PSV battered us. But he doesn't want to say anything then, because it doesn't benefit him then. It's annoying as hell. That's quite funny. I'm not fighting for my spot. He's right though. He's not fighting. I'm being done. I didn't think about it that way. Van Dijk's no longer in good health, 34 years old. He can no longer walk it. Van Dijk is a bygone glory. Van Dijk is a concern, but again, if we use what I was saying earlier, typically you resolve things in a priority order. You resolve the biggest priority first, then you resolve the second priority, then you resolve the third priority. Like if your kitchen is on fire, but you also need to paint the kitchen, you put the fire out first, you let that resolve, and then you paint it afterwards. So things will like typically be done in priority order. Van Dijk is a thing that needs to be resolved, but I think the manager is a higher priority in terms of resolving that. I think unfortunately the Salah situation now is a higher priority in terms of resolving that, and I think the Konate situation is a higher priority in terms of resolving that. So I think these things have to be done in priority order. I do agree it's unfair for the media to scapegoat Salah in particular. Van Dijk, Kirkers, McAllister, Gakpo, Konate have been equally poor, but to go public is his biggest mistake. It is his biggest mistake. He would not have this level of scrutiny and this level of criticism if he had not gone public like that. It would have been shared between Salah and Van Dijk. He's getting scrutiny because of the way he's done it, not so much because of the how rather than the what, I guess, because he did it in public. And rightfully so. Yeah, as Forsaken says, just what you've done in the past doesn't automatically guarantee you a spot today. If it did, Gerrard would still be in the team. Yeah, it would have been nice to hear from him after Harry Maguire. Hecky says Salah or Slot. Neither, to be honest with you. I would have said Salah yesterday. Like if you said yesterday morning, would have said Salah. After that interview, I'm like, neither. Yeah. As Forsaken is saying, at this point, neither. He cannot hold the club to ransom. He cannot throw a fit if he's dropped after 3 games. After 30 games, I'd understand. It's 3 games and you're throwing your toys at the pram. Justice for Salah. He's been dropped for 3 games. What injustice has happened? Again, everyone's coming out with statements, but nobody can tell me what injustice has happened. What grave crime, which breaks the Geneva Convention of Human Rights, has happened? What has happened? He's been dropped for 3 games. Just because he's throwing his toys at the pram, that doesn't suddenly make it a bigger deal. Things are going badly. It's not normal for Liverpool. Such big clubs spend millions on players. I think this manager has unfortunately not gotten the best. Out of these players. So I think the manager needs to go. But unfortunately, Salah's created a situation whereby Salah also has to go. Because if you just get rid of the manager and you keep Salah, that's going to make the club look weak as an institution. And that's going to make the management team look weak. That's going to say to the next manager, if it's Nagelsmann, Alonso, if it's my dad, I don't know. That's going to say to the next manager, you've got authority, but don't have too much authority, because if you drop Salah for 3 games, he's going to cry about it again. Unfortunately, Salah has created a situation where Liverpool have to get rid of him. Mr. Default said, oh my God, they've made a Brian Mbeumo emoji. Is that like the peach emoji? Amy says the team changed so much. What did people expect? I hear you. I do think you have a point. I would have expected the manager to have done a bit better. With what he's done, with the players that he has. As an example, I could rationalize and I could understand losing to Man City at home 3-0. Sorry, away 3-0. I can understand that. What I cannot understand or legitimize is losing at home to Forest 3-0 or losing at home to PSV 4-1. That's a bit too a bit too far for me. Salah, good player. Frat says, hello, man. How you doing? Snapey says, nostalgia based on previous contribution creates not only an obfuscation, but it also creates a skewed narrative, which for me is one of the negatives surrounding this scenario. Recent games are accurate, 100%. You're only as good as your last few performances. That's true in most walks of life, and I think that's especially true in football. It's fair, and I think it's rational, and I think it's totally fine to respect what he's done in the past, to to be thankful for what he's done in the past, to be grateful for what he's done in the past. But at the same time, also acknowledge right now it's not working so well. So let's maybe just drop you. Let's not just... I'm not even saying sell you, get rid of you. I think that's too far. But I think it's far to say, let's drop him out of the team. Let's try something with Wirtz. Let's try something with Isak. Let's try something with Ekitike. And let's see if the team can get winning again. Adam says, stop pretending it's not about money. I think that's in your head. I've never once mentioned money. And it's not my budget. I don't pay for this. It is absolutely nothing to do with money. Frat says, hello, man. How's it going? Grace says, I do like your hats. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Clara says, so is Mo Salah leaving Liverpool? If I was to guess, I would say yes. It was a massive change. That is very true. Helena liked and subscribed. I appreciate that. Mr. Default's a United fan, but like he comes out with good points. Like, if you can't drop Salah because he's been great for years, Liverpool should keep him until he's 80. That's my pushback. If the midfield's not working so well, Gerrard is unemployed. Graham Souness is unemployed. I think he left Sky. Let's get Gerrard and Souness double pivot against Inter Milan. They're legends. They've done so much. They've lifted European Cups. They're great. Let's get them back in. I realized that came out wrong. But I realized after I said it, it didn't mean to sound as derogatory as it came out. It was more a United fan is making good points about Liverpool. That's what I meant to say. After I said it, I was like, that sounds really harsh, but that's not what I meant. So that's actually what I meant. But I appreciate what you're saying. I made that sound so bad. He's a United fan who's making good points. I meant he understands the Liverpool situation, I feel, better than some Liverpool fans. That's what I meant. Slots been given some excellent... Just so harsh, but that's not what I meant. Slots been given some excellent players, but thus far he's comatose the careers of most of our recent signings. He's tactically inflexible and crucially he's psychologically brittle in the interviews. I agree, and I think also Liverpool management can at the very least keep their head held high with respect to, okay, they got a manager, he won the league. I think Christmas is enough of a time for them to feel that their conscience is clear and they've given Slot enough time for him to figure it out. I think if they had sacked him in September, if they had sacked him in October, if they had sacked him in November, I think that would be far too soon. And I think you'd have something on your conscience there to say, ooh, we had a Premier League winning manager and we got rid of him too early. But I think he's proven all of those things. And I think Christmas is a significant time frame within which you can say he's had sufficient time to turn it around, and he hasn't really. So I think now is the right time to make a change. Yeah, it is mental weakness to throw your toys out. Because think about it this way, right? In the entirety of Salah's career at Liverpool, This is the first time he's faced adversity. This is the first time that he's faced adversity. This is the first time that he's had a difficult situation where he's not in the team. So are you telling me the first time you face adversity, you throw your toys at the pram and you say, I want to go? That's weak. To me, that's weak. That's weak mentality. As soon as things get hard for you, you do an interview and you throw the club under the bus and you say, I want to go. And you say, Brighton's going to be my last game. Us and United are equally poor as each other. The Man United fan is bang accurate. That's Mr. Default. He does have some good takes, to be fair. Only person that fights for the badge is Sabo and Chiesa. I'd like to see Chiesa get more of a situation. If Chiesa did this sort of thing, even though I appreciate Chiesa doesn't have as big a profile and nowhere near the history at Liverpool, but if Chiesa was to do this kind of an interview, I'd get it. I'd understand because we haven't treated him right. But for Salah to do it, I do not like. Fish is back. I was gonna go when you went earlier. I don't know how long I've been here for. How long have I been here for? Jesus Christ, 1 hour 45. That's the problem with it going dark so early, that you lose track of time. You lose track of time. That's a fair point. He spat his dummy out when he got benched as well. When he got benched back then as well. When Harvey Elliott got his position for a while. I don't know if that's a good thing or if that makes things even worse. Because does that then suggest when the new manager comes in, let's pretend it's Alonso for argument's sake, or let's pretend it's Ten Hag if it will make Mr. Default happy. But let's pretend when the next manager comes in, does that suggest that the next manager is not allowed to drop him? Is he? Because if you drop him, he's gonna bring the club into disrepute. If you drop him, he's gonna throw a fit. I don't think a person like that's needed. To be fair, he didn't directly say Brighton would be his last game, but I believe he insinuated it. You see that there? This is this bit here it's more of a summary of the quotes. With Salah saying that Liverpool's match against Brighton next weekend could be his last. What happens? So if I click the could, then it takes me to another page. I want to see if I can get the exact quote. Here you go. Salah admits Brighton could be his last game for Liverpool. And again, I will stress, you are creating that situation, not Liverpool. Don't blame the club. You are creating that situation. I called my mum yesterday and told her, come to the Brighton game. It doesn't matter if I play or not. I'm going to enjoy it. Doesn't seem like you're enjoying it now, mate. We'll see what's going to happen. But in my head, I'm going to enjoy that game if I play or not. I'm on the bench or not. So what's the problem then? I don't know what's going to happen now, but that's going to be at Anfield. Say goodbye to the fans before the AFCON because I don't know what's going to happen there. So he's kind of playing with the situation, because in one half of the sentence he's referring to the AFCON, but in the second half he's saying, but I don't know what's going to happen whilst I'm at the AFCON. So again, he's being quite deceptive, I think. Salah to retire and manage Liverpool. When Salah whines, it doesn't just undermine his own position, but it shows contempt for other players. Indeed it does. It shows contempt for other players, and it also shows contempt for the fans, and it also shows contempt for the staff that he claims to love so much. They will see how entitled he sees himself within the club. It is a very dangerous precedent to set. And I think now we are in a tough situation, because if Liverpool sack Slot, but do not get rid of Salah, that precedent becomes even more dangerous. Because it says to the next manager, if you don't play this guy who stinks up the gaff, if you don't play this guy, we're going to get rid of you just like we got rid of Slot. You can't have a situation where a player has more power than the manager. When is the Brighton match? I think next Saturday, It's Inter Milan on Tuesday away. We're going to get battered. So I'm sure you will enjoy that. But it is Saturday. I feel like I'm dreaming. He's blown this situation so out of proportion. I agree 1,000%. He has created this situation entirely. This situation is entirely of his own making. Again, if we consider the facts of the situation, what has happened factually? He's been dropped for 3 games. That's it. You are throwing your toys at the pram and you are threatening to leave the club because you've been dropped for 3 games. Is your ego that fragile? Devil's Advocate says 100%. My friend Salah has created this. I agree. What he's trying to do is call Liverpool's hand. I agree with you again. Unfortunately for him, his bargaining position is a lot weaker now, because when he's done this thing in the past, he's been at the end of a contract, which means he has a bargaining position, which is, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to leave on a free. But now he doesn't have a bargaining position because he's contracted. So I don't know if he realizes that, but Liverpool can sell him to Saudi. I love the situation, says Mr. Defoe. I'm glad somebody does. Noah says, there's a lot wrong with this situation. I won't pick sides either. The only side I pick is Liverpool. And I think Slot and Salah both need to go, in my opinion. I am with you on that 1,000%. I'm on the side of the team. It's all well and good saying in happy times. You know, in happy times, quite often people say, there's no one bigger than the club. It's all well and good in saying that when things go well. But when you actually have to practice what that means is when things are not going well. And this is an example of that. So I think this is an example where we have to put that into practice and say, oh, neighbours just getting delivery. We have to put that into practice and say, you're not bigger than the club. We can't give in to his demands. It does make Slot's position stronger, because yesterday morning, the Slot situation was Liverpool's biggest problem. And I think by Salah doing this, it will send the wrong message if they get rid of Slot and they keep Salah, which inevitably means they're going to get rid of Salah and keep Slot. They can't get rid of Slot now, because that's going to completely send the wrong message. So Slot might be loving this because he's kept him in a job. He's going to kept him in a job. Contracts mean nothing, but from a Liverpool perspective, contracts have monetary value. So what I mean is, there was a threat of him leaving for free, but now there's no threat of him leaving for free. They can sell him to Saudi for a bunch of money. Noah says, the fact Salah doesn't even feel that he needs to provide more because he's a club legend that has given us everything. For that, he was given the biggest contract in our history. That's a fair point. He is a legend, but he is acting like he's never gotten anything in return for that. He's acting like this is like a selfless act that he's done out of the goodness of his heart, and we should be forever grateful and kind of kiss the floor that he walks on. You've gotten 200 grand a week a few years ago, and a few weeks ago you get 400 grand a week. You've been paid handsomely for this. You've been paid handsomely for what you've done. You get paid £400,000 every single week. It's crazy. And for him to think and for him to assume he is automatically worthy and he is automatically entitled to a position in the team just because of what he's done in the past, I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. You're entitled to be given more of a leeway, which is what he's been given. He's been given like 18 games. If anybody else performed how Salah had performed, but wasn't called Mo Salah, it would not take 18 games to drop them. It would maybe take 6. So he needs to remember that. Remember when Klopp benched Salah in his last season and he had a row with Klopp on the sideline? I do, and Nunes had to calm him down. That's how you know. That's how you know things are bad, when Darwin Nunes got to calm you down. When Darwin Nunes is the sensible and rational one. Klopp gave Salah his career, so it just shows he can't handle the reality. He cannot handle rejection. He cannot handle rejection. He has to be the bee's knees. He has to be the big shot. He has to be the main guy all the time. And maybe that's why things are not gelling with Isak. Maybe that's why he's not passing to Isak. Because suddenly Liverpool don't just have one main guy, they've got two main guys. They've got Isak and they've got Salah, and you could argue three with Wirtz. Maybe that's why he's not passing as much. But nobody is entitled to a position in the team because of past performances. That's why Gerrard still is not in the team, and that's why Graham Souness is not still in the team. Yeah, all the situation does is strengthen Slot's position, which is disappointing, but that's all it does. 400 grand a week, that's what he's on. You are correct, E2KL. Bench for 3 games and he's crying. It's wild. It's wild, isn't it? A lot of people were saying to me, I can't believe they've done this to Salah. I can't believe they've treated him this way. And I'm like, what crime has been committed? Factually, tell me what's happened. Factually, all that's happened is he's been dropped for 3 games. That does not seem like something to necessitate this kind of a reaction. So, it is what it is, man. I think you're right, Adebanyo. Salah is just feeling jealous because he loves Liverpool. Because I think, or maybe he loves himself more than Liverpool. Steve's also correct. Nobody's entitled to a first team spot. Key word within that is team. I'd be very confused with that as well. A lot of people, somebody earlier was saying, somebody earlier said the wording, but we know the players back him. I'm like, hold on. Do we know that? What evidence do you have to say that we know that the players back him? We don't have any evidence of that. I think a lot of players would be disappointed. He's undermined the whole organization. I'd be livid if that was my teammate. I agree. I'd be livid as well. The thing that irritates me is a lot of the players previous to yesterday, the Van Dijks of the world, the Alissons of the world, the Robertsons of the world, the Curtis Jones of the world, a lot of them were asking for unity, for fans to come together and back the team. But what Salah has done is selfish. He has split the fan base. He split the fan base into Team Salah and Team Not Salah. So by splitting the fan base, you are doing the opposite of unity, because splitting is the opposite of unity. It's selfish as hell. It is selfish as hell. As HGTXV is saying, all that has happened is you've been benched for 3 games. I'd understand if you were benched for like half the season. But I think Liverpool have played about 20 games this season. He started like 17 of them and done nothing. What do you think? What do you think? You're just gonna be in the lineup permanently? Whenever I start getting annoyed, Mr. Default will make a comment, which makes me laugh, to be fair, so I'm glad. It brings me back down to earth, but in a good way. It says, in my humble opinion, Salah should keep starting every match. He's helping other teams out so much. At least he's helping somebody out. I'll probably go at 6 because I've been here for a while, and I can't lie, I'm getting pretty hungry. If this isn't resolved soon, it's going to create irreparable damage in the dressing room. For me, it's going to compound the untimely death of Jota. It's a downward spiral. It is something that needs to be resolved. If I was to guess what would happen, I feel like if Liverpool were to release a statement now, it is going to potentially compound that further because it's Sunday. I think Liverpool will wait until everyone's back at work tomorrow or back at school tomorrow, whatever. I think Liverpool will release a statement tomorrow. Because I think if Liverpool release a statement tomorrow, the impact of that is lessened because everyone's at work, everyone's at school. Haram behavior. I mean, you're right. Asaf says 1-0. Asaf, we have lost so many games 1-0 recently. You have to tell me what specifically. Snapey says you do a cracking podcast, man. Take care, everyone. See you all in the next one. See you soon. I'm also going to go at 6:00. But yeah, thank you. You were making some really good points as well. So yeah, I appreciate that. Hope you have a nice Sunday evening. Hope it's relaxing. But yeah, I'll be gone in 3 minutes as well. It's literally like a reality TV show. I was absolutely shocked when I seen the quotes. I thought it was fake as well. And then I saw the video. And I'm just completely disgusted. Just before I go, the beery one says, just heard what Paul Joyce has reported. This sounds a bit ominous, but I'll have a look. I'll have a look before I go, because I better go at 6. Because I was here for 3 hours yesterday. Take care, Snapey. Enjoy. Things usually sort themselves out on their own. Certain things do. Let's just have a quick look at this. The beery one mentioned there was a Paul Joyce, which I'm a bit worried because it sounded a bit morbid. But let's have a look. Let's have a look at this one here. So as mentioned by the beery one, Liverpool's owners have given Slot their full backing, and it's unlikely Salah's outburst will have any bearing on their stance. Drum roll! What a surprise! Nice one, Mo. Of course this was going to happen. Because Slot is part of the management structure. Management backs management. There is no chance in hell now that Slot's gonna go. If Salah had not done this, yesterday, I think his job might have been on the line. But now Salah has forced their hand by Salah publicly challenging the manager, by Salah publicly challenging the ownership now have no choice but to back the manager. Because if the ownership now do not back the manager, that therefore suggests a lot of people say that I'm Salah if he eats pizza twice a week and doesn't exercise a little bit, but don't exercise as much. But yeah, if I just fear that if FSG were to get rid of Slot now, that would suggest Salah dictates what FSG do. FSG are venture capitalists. Like they're not nice people, to be honest with you. So now, just out of stubbornness, they're gonna back the manager because they are gonna want to show they are the bosses. You don't mess with FSG. You don't mess with Michael Edwards, and you certainly don't mess with who Michael Edwards hires. I'm not surprised about this outcome. How you doing, Rebecca? Hope you are good. Unless they get rid of both of them, as Mr. Default says. But we also have to imagine, you can get rid of both of them, but if you get rid of two people, naturally you have to get rid of one first and then you get rid of one second. It's extremely unlikely, and it would be downright insanity to get rid of two pivotal figures on the same day. They'd have to get rid of one and then get rid of the other. And I think by Salah saying what he said, he forced FSG's hand to back Slot, because otherwise people will be saying Salah owns FSG, Liverpool gave in to player power, Salah's bigger than Liverpool. And it also sends the message. Secondly, it also sends the message to the next manager. If you get rid of Slot and you keep Salah, it sends the message to the next manager. You gotta play that Egyptian every single game, because if you drop the Egyptian, your job might be under risk because Salah has more authority than the manager. You absolutely cannot have that situation in a football club or any sort of business. So Slot should be happy about what Salah said, because Salah's kept him in a job. Biriwan says, first time I interacted with you, great stream. I appreciate that. Appreciate the kind words. I better go now, because I think my neighbors are gonna be very unhappy. This computer that I'm on, it's right against the wall, so I think my neighbors probably will not be particularly happy about my ranting and raving. I'm going at 603. Salah makes 1.6 million a month. Holy F. Yeah, it's like, it's disgusting, and I'm not even just talking about it purely from like societal impact currently with respect to inequality and cost of living and all that. Just keeping that to the side. Also from a footballing perspective, it's like, mate, you get paid 1.6 million a year. Have a bit of a backbone. Would never have happened on the club. I agree. Rodgers maybe, yeah, but I think a lot of it is a sign of the times. Because back in Benitez's day, we didn't have social media, and in Rodgers' day, it was very much in its infancy. But yeah, in Klopp's day, it wouldn't have happened, because Klopp's a very good manager. But anyway, I better go now. I have work tomorrow, and I've got a lot that I need to do today. But anyway, I'll be back on Tuesday for the Liverpool game, when we will hopefully see Graham Souness and Steven Gerrard in midfield, because hey, back the legends, right? But anyway, hope you guys have a nice evening. I hope you enjoy Monday tomorrow, because I'm not looking forward to it. But anyway, take care, guys. Mr. Default says United. Of course he does. Noah says no one bigger than the club. Agree 1000%. But anyway, I shall go now. Thumbs up. That's kind of cringe, but take care.